This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Sunday. Welcome, clinically. What's going on? Princess Kimberly, good evening. How is everyone? Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, to you breeders that might celebrate such a day. All you fur moms and single dads out there making it work. Yeah, that's all I got to say. It's not a holiday I give a shit about. Not high enough for this shit. Nobody come at me and say that I promised to be on Friday for request night. I don't remember making that promise. Even though I totally did and it's on video. Yes, rest in peace to the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, not Israel. The one and only Sabu. Trained by the Sheik, not the Iron Sheik. Ed Farhat, the original Sheik. I told my buddy I wanted to do a Sheik night one night, and he's like, it's the same match, man. You get boring real fast. And I'm like, yeah, but I like the Sheik. He's cool. He trained Sabu. But I guess we're going to have to do a Sabu night this coming Saturday if I actually show up. You may be like, well, Justin, you haven't been doing wrestling night or request night. Yeah, I know. Life gets in the way sometimes. I was actually at the weed store on Friday night, and something like Curiouser had been doing like the final shit with her dad. Remember I said I had the hair in my eye. Apparently it's not a hair. She says there's a sty, but like something might have been on her, dust or something, pollen, because she gets over here. My eye's just like bawling. Just the one eye. So I'm like in the weed store trying to read the menu with my eye just like blah. And then we're standing in line, and there's this, like an AK or an AR bong, and it's probably every bit of $300, $400, $500. It is really fucking nice, handcrafted, but it's a fucking AK. And I'm like, that would be wild if I had that. And I got on stream, like, it's just another day in Mass Bong Rips USA. With my eye just blew. And then there was this woman in front of me, and she had a really short skirt on. So she's standing at the bud tender, and she pulls her skirt completely up. Like, I see her entire ass. And she's like, I don't know if she's scratching or Curiouser thinks she might have had like the little shorts on. Maybe she had a wedge, and she was like readjusting. But I can't, like, she's got a badunkadunk, and you know me, I can't help but look, because she's showing me her entire ass. And Curiouser is like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't help it. She shouldn't have shown me her entire ass if she didn't want me to look at it. Because I'm like out in the car, like I'm trying to figure out if she's doing it on purpose or she didn't know that I can find it hard to believe that my loud mouth was standing behind somebody and they didn't know I was directly behind them. I feel like she flashed me on purpose. They seem like the kind of couple that might be looking at me across her, but then again, I'm lusty after everybody. I think every couple is the kind of couple that's going to be looking at me across the room. Oh, Curiouser cleaned my bong. It's still a little, we didn't soak it overnight because we wanted to use it, for the weed that we bought. But I did indeed clean my bong somewhat. It's somewhat nice. I'm gonna soak it again. Like I was gonna do it last night, but I fell asleep. I was Byronic. We really dig your vibe. I've been that couple too. I've been that couple. Anyway, enough about my weekend. That news be doing stupid shit. 0% surprise. Dougie anonymously. Good evening. Listen. Stupid shit abound in the news. Oh, here, let me. Speaking of which, wow, what an apropos meme. When you nut 5 seconds into the threesome and have to watch from the end of the bed. After you get invited in by the couple. Objectively, Avalon, welcome in. The news be doing stupid shit, let me tell you. I got video of the once nominee for U.S. Attorney for D.C. getting spat on. Apparently that woman has been arrested. A criminal investigation has been opened into New York Attorney General Tish James. She held a town hall, and I don't think she's bothered by the opening of this investigation. Stephen Miller, now on video saying that they are going to suspend the right of habeas corpus. That's your right to be able to question your accuser in court. They can suspend the right of habeas corpus. Meanwhile, Amy Klobuchar, you remember her? Klobumentum. Oh, DJ Dub pops in. You're going to love this. Amy Klobuchar says, we're not in a constitutional crisis. Hear from the officials arrested at the ICE facility in Maryland. Massachusetts. Both of these are in Massachusetts. We're doing the protest in the Worcester, Mass. We've got body cam of an arrest that's just appalling. Protests have erupted in Worcester, Mass. A Massachusetts mayor has been arrested during a protest on an ICE facility. More arrests could be possible. Did I mention Amy Klobuchar said we're not in a constitutional crisis? Senator Merkley questioning Kash Patel over whether he's following the Constitution or not. Did I mention Amy Klobuchar is going to tell us we're not in a constitutional crisis? A new luxury jet being donated by the country of Qatar is going to serve as Air Force One. The art of the deal. We're going to talk about China trade deals. Automakers in Detroit are going to react to Trump trade deal announcements. You're going to hear from the Seattle port chief tonight. Emmanuel Macron and several other world leaders caught in a video possibly doing cocaine? Does that make them cooler? DJ Dub, do you think that makes them cooler if they were caught doing cocaine? The Pope calling for peace, Zelensky to meet with Vladimir Putin. Ceasefire has been reached between India and Pakistan, but they're already accusing each other of violating the ceasefire. Bus crash in Sri Lanka killed dozens. We got a house exploding in New Jersey. Speaking of New Jersey, we covered the story of the air traffic control getting shut down a couple weeks ago. We have audio from that hectic day. Posters have popped up in the city of Memphis with pictures of the cops that were acquitted in the beating death of Tyree Nichols. The posters say, dead or alive. Jury yet to be seated in the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. Several gators that were involved in a deadly attack on a woman in a canoe have been apprehended. A man caught on video multiple times in several road rage incidents that drives a Tesla has been caught yet again in a road rage incident. A viral trend has students setting their laptops on fire. Fox News commentator faints on air. Bill Belichick's girlfriend was in the Miss Maine competition. Elon's daughter apparently attended a drag party, very much turning heads. And Metallica caused an earthquake in Virginia. All that and a lot friggin' more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, and tonight has a hell of a show. I love Bubbles. One of my favorite characters in anything ever. The episode where he's taking care of Steve French. An operation involving ice in Worcester, Massachusetts. Yeah, the age difference between Belichick and his girlfriend is a whole other old person. She is, 22 or something like that? That motherfucker's almost 70. Worcestershire sauce. I should have never watched how that stuff is made because it's so good. Worcester residents demand answers. Almost 80. Fuck. Julie, welcome in. Worcester residents are demanding answers after an ICE arrest and confrontation with police.
Operation involving ICE has generated anger in Worcester. Police say 2 people were arrested when a crowd of people tried to interfere with an ICE operation yesterday.
WBZ's Beth Germano's live in Worcester tonight. Beth, I know you spoke with a witness who actually saw this confrontation.
This actually happened on Thursday, so this report is from Friday.
Well, they described masked federal agents not showing any identification and what they say was an escalation of tension when Worcester police arrived. This scene all played out before a sizable crowd that rushed to the area with word that ICE agents were in the neighborhood.
The screams of a woman being taken into ICE custody in Worcester yesterday as crowds began to swarm around federal agents. A witness describing what she saw.
The mom, as she was being detained too, she was screaming. I don't know if she was being hurt as she was handcuffed. I don't know what, but she was truly screaming. Those are the screams that I have ingrained in my ears right now.
Another relative, believed to be her daughter, flailing in front of the ICE vehicle in a scene that rapidly grew into chaos in front of agents, some masked, and witnesses say they had no answers about the arrest.
We were all asking for a warrant. They didn't answer at first and then eventually just said this is a warrantless arrest when they were shoving them into the vehicle.
Worcester police say they moved in to de-escalate the situation, but the response has outraged the
de-escalate my ass.
And which side the police was on.
We saw both federal and Worcester officers descend on a family with a level of aggression that you would use when apprehending someone who's known to be dangerous and carrying weapons.
2 others were arrested. School committee candidate Ashley Spring, charged with disorderly conduct and assault and battery, as she allegedly threw an unknown liquid at responding officers, and the arrested woman's daughter. At some point, activist Dolly DeRocha took the infant of another family member into her arms to help.
What I felt is indescribable because such an innocent baby that is going to be impacted by the separation of family members.
The message for ICE is get out of our city.
City leaders are calling for accountability and an investigation into the response.
Our local police is not tasked to protect ICE. They're here to protect the people, and they should behave that way.
Insane.
Now, it's not clear who the arrested woman is or where she was taken, but it is certainly another flashpoint in an aggressive federal crackdown. Reporting live from Worcester, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News.
Beth, thank you.
Nah, I ain't up for this shit. This fascism in my country that claims to be about freedom. argued with a dude earlier that, like, you're advocating deporting people just for their opinions on political issues. This arrest in Worcester has spurred protests against the federal government.
Well, Sean, Jen, the entire common behind me filled with people chanting.
Lo-Fi Lemonade, welcome in.
All of them calling for due process after a series of federal ICE arrests here in Worcester and across the Commonwealth.
Oh, you want to argue? You can absolutely argue. Hop in the Discord or call in 917-830-4359. I always let people pick. Whatever you want to argue with me about, you can argue with me. Usually politics, but I mean, I'll argue about anything. I can hit you with some hot takes on Star Wars or some wild musical opinions I have. Like, Metallica's version of Turn the Page is better than Bob Seger's. That usually gets people... Fucking A, you will. That usually gets people riled up. Nope, Lo-Fi Lemonade agrees with me on that one. I'm okay. Here's another bad musical opinion I have. I think you can separate the art from the artist. I'm not gonna hold it against you if you listen to shitty artists, cause like where do you start drawing the line, right? So if I shun you for listening to R. Kelly, like, you are absolutely right to shun me because I listen to Led Zeppelin. Flash, good evening. Jimmy Page is a child rapist. Eric Clapton is a virulent racist. Oh boy, Kanye's new song. I mean, I'm not going to shun you for listening to Kanye, but if you're listening to if you're going back and listening to, in a world so lonely or whatever the fuck, listening to I ain't saying she's a gold digger. I'm not gonna hold that against you. But if you're listening to a song called Heil Hitler, I probably will hold that one against you. You see what it's all relative, right? And I got a couple of Chris Benoit. If you watch Chris Benoit matches, even though he killed his entire family, he's still a fantastic wrestler. Who's Jordan Hudson? Welcome in, Michael. I don't know who Jordan Hudson is. Ghost and Patrick Wilson's version of Stay is better than Shakespeare's Sister. I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not know the song. I do not know Shakespeare's... What is Shakespeare's Sister? Cousin Dick Sucking. Okay. Here's the thing. Is like that's... And maybe I've got controversial opinions on Cousin Dick Sucking now. First... Oh, Michael. Okay. I'm sorry. No, okay. First of all, I'm from Kentucky, so we start talking about cousin fucking. She was really cute, and she was only my half cousin, though. Okay, let's just go ahead and throw that out there. Always, and people are like, "What do you mean a half cousin? We only shared one grandparent. Apparently, my grandmother was a little bit of a hussy, so we only shared one grandparent. Not completely unexpected." T-Bias, welcome in. I feel like I've left somebody off. Thank you for being a freaking follower, Lemonade. Holiday, my friend. Good to see you. But then there's the whole, like, kids experiment with each other. Like, I really shouldn't get into this. But Monster Rain, right? Like, not Ed Norton. Jimmy Norton. Completely two different people. Ed Norton, critically acclaimed actor, played a Nazi in American History X. Reformed Nazi. Jimmy Norton is a comedian that used to jack his cousin off under the under the porch, or suck his cousin off or something like that. So like that's, and he was telling that story like 20 years ago. He's got a whole stand-up bit about it. They would yell "Monster Rain" and then they'd suck each other off. My God! Really got derailed on the news, didn't we?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I let Jimmy tell that story. Look up Jim Norton Monster Rain. I think he named a whole HBO special after it. I mean, like, my buddy Battle Opossum says if anybody earned the name Freakin, it's me. What? Oh my God, T minus. That's some sexual anarchy right there.
You live in sexual anarchy?
We were talking about a serious topic. We got the fascist ICE brigade just snatching people up off the street. Hundreds gathered in Worcester, Mass. To protest the recent ICE arrests.
Well, Sean, Jen, the entire common behind me filled with people chanting and holding signs, all of them calling for due process after a series of federal ICE arrests here in Worcester and across the Commonwealth.
When immigrant parents are under attack.
Not high enough for this shit.
We don't want to live in a community where our neighbors are pulled off the street.
We act like this sort of thing is...
We want to live in a society.
Families, protesters, and neighbors filling Worcester Common after this arrest by Worcester police and federal ICE agents last week of a mother in front of her daughters, including one with a baby.
We are here to demand the due process of the law that is guaranteed to every person on American soil, citizen or non-citizen.
In a statement sent to News Center 5, the Department of Homeland Security says the woman they took into custody, Ferreira de Oliveira, illegally came to the U.S. in 2022, saying she was facing multiple assault charges. But those at today's rally say without due process, things need to change.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Without due process, none of this makes sense to me. Perhaps this is a person that should not be in America. I don't know.
I mean, that's how you know they're not arresting gangs or violent criminals, because we have no reports of any kind of shooting. We have no reports of resistance against ICE. They're just snatching up college students and little old ladies.
But until that person is given the opportunity.
I am not advocating cousin fucking, and I did not fuck my cousin. Now, did I mess around with my half cousin?
Opportunity to explain their situation, and there's an investigation, and we go through due process. Then this isn't the place I want to be.
Now, I reached out to the Department of Homeland Security trying to find out where de Oliveira is being held tonight, but they are not releasing that information. Another rally is set for this area.
Don't judge me.
When the City Council is...
Ram Ranch, welcome in.
Mr. Emily Maha, WCVB News Center 5.
Well, I'm just a horn dog anyway, so we got a cute cousin. We see each other like twice a year. Casey, welcome in. The mayor of Newark, New Jersey. I'm sorry, I said it was a Massachusetts mayor. I got it wrong. So it was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, speaking out after his arrest, more arrests possible after the chaos that unfolded last week.
Newark Mayor Ras Baraka is revealing new details about his arrest at a controversial ICE detention facility. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Moore. Tensions are escalating tonight between the federal government and some Democratic officials, one day after a visit to an ICE detention facility in Newark ended in chaos.
I've almost drank all my coffee, unfortunately.
ICE now suggesting some members of Congress could face charges. Derek Waller is in studio now with the latest in this case. Derek?
Members of Congress could face charges for protesting their illegal detentions.
And Jessica, Mayor Ras Baraka is out of jail tonight, and he's speaking out about an experience he called humiliating. As a spokesperson for ICE says more arrests are likely, and she's even talking about possibly arresting members of Congress. That is Congresswoman LaMonica McIver in an argument with federal officers outside the Delaney Hall ICE detention facility in Newark Friday, in body cam video released by ICE. This ICE press release says two other members of Congress, Bonnie Watson Coleman on the left and Robert Menendez Jr. in the center, quote, stormed the gate and broke in. A spokesperson also making this claim on CNN Saturday.
There will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
On social media, Congresswoman Watson Coleman wrote, "The notion that I or any of my colleagues body slammed armed officers is absurd." The only elected official arrested was Newark Mayor Ras Baraka for trespassing after he left the building. The mayor released 5 hours later, surrounded by Newark police officers. On Saturday, Baraka told CBS New York he was invited by the building owner and was there for more than an hour before being asked to leave.
Nobody from ICE was slammed on the ground. We didn't storm the place. So all of it is a lie.
Adding his visit was not about immigration, but rather demanding the contractor get an updated certificate of occupancy.
They have one from 20 years ago, and they're standing on that, and we're saying you have to get a new one every year.
We have the proper permitting. We've gone through proper inspections. It's a joke.
No fear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Protesters rallied in support of Baraka Saturday in Manhattan's Foley Square, across the street from an ICE office.
A black mayor stood up for immigrants.
If they can do that to elected officials, none of us is safe.
The mayor's opponents in the New Jersey governor's race also came to his defense.
The good news is he's out, right? Again, but the bad news is there's plenty others who aren't. And I think the point is we all have to stand here in solidarity and keep fighting back.
Oh, Gottheimer got to stick his nose in there. I probably shouldn't have said nose. I didn't think about him being Jewish until after I said it. So scratch that. You shouldn't cancel Justin over that one. That was an honest mistake, because that's a normal saying, sticking your nose in something. Ooh boy, digging that hole. Gottheimer had to go and try to get himself some publicity. Couldn't let his mayoral opponent get all that good press.
And on social media, Congressman Menendez.
Please have Ethan Klein come after me, Flash. That's exactly what I need in my life right now. Holy fuck. Please get somebody like Ethan Klein, somebody big to come after me. I would love that. I go after people bigger than me, and they always block me and shit, because I think they know what I'm doing. Oh, they do it to people bigger than them. It's wild.
As Jr. pointed out that federal law states members of Congress do have the right to enter federal facilities for the purpose of oversight. Tonight, ICE has not yet announced any additional arrests. Jessica?
You know, this is not the last of the story. Derek, thank you. And for the latest on Mayor Baraka's arrest and how the federal government is responding, head to our website, cbsnewyork.com.
I think we've got the body camera footage, or at least a chunk of it here. This is the raw footage. The ICE people are claiming an ICE agent was slammed to the ground. Let's see if we see anything like that.
The nonsense. This is the mayor of the largest city. You are here on private property. On private property.
All right, this is the last. I'm not fan. Listen, this is the last warning.
Oh, as Congresswoman, let's show some respect. Show some respect. You don't have no respect.
Listen, what does it mean? Congressmen are different. Congresswomen are different. Mr. Mayor, anyone that is not a congresswoman or man, step out again. It's the last warning. You will be placed on arrest.
You let him in!
You let him in, you piece of shit.
Don't rush in. Don't rush in. Don't, please.
Clear the gate. Back up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
That's hilarious. You let him in, you piece of shit.
Shame on you people.
They're saying that because he was on this side, that he
Where's my congresswoman? Where's my congresswoman?
Damn, DJ Dub. Coming in hot. Looked like they threw one of the protesters down on the ground. Maybe a staffer for one of the Congress people. I don't know who that woman was. That was probably like my 4th or 5th cup of coffee today. I probably drink way too much. I'm not supposed to have any. I love it though.
Calm down. I'm not resisting.
Keep all your damn hands off of me. Hell wrong with you? You ever put your hands?
The hell's wrong with you?
Hell wrong with you?
Seriously.
Get your off now. Not you. Miss Perez. Miss Perez, get your fucking officer.
Get your hands off of her.
The only aggression you see is from
He just assaulted me.
the thugs. The jackbooted thugs, literally.
A complaint. You can't talk to a congresswoman like that, and you got her to put your hands on me. You will pay.
A cab. Mad props to that mayor.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Tom Homan went on with Fox News earlier today to send a warning to try to chill any other speech, anybody standing up for immigrants' rights.
Straight to Border Czar Tom Homan. Tom, thank you so much for being here. You know, just watching that body cam video, absolutely incredible to see that went down. And before we get to it, I'd like you to also hear what the Newark mayor had to say also in his defense.
We ask them to obey our laws, to obey the policies and rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey, not to run roughshod over the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the 4th, the 5th, the 14th Amendment, that everybody on this soil deserves due process.
Tom, he's saying they're the good guys here.
Well,
look, they are
smart. I mean, bottom line is that's what the facility is all about. This facility is about due process. This facility is where we put illegal aliens, people in the country illegally.
That facility is not a courtroom.
And they were screaming and yelling about due process and 14 and all this in the Constitution. This is where due process happens. We have to.
No, it's not.
To go through the due process. Sometimes seeing a judge. Sometimes they already have final orders. It's ranging removal to their countries, and getting travel documents to their countries, and making sure all the administrative processes are followed. So this is exactly.
Fascist droopy dog.
I'll tell you this. I can guarantee.
This is another one of those thanks Obama too, by the way.
Than any New Jersey facility. This facility has
Obama originally appointed this motherfucker.
Industry. You compare that to any jail in New Jersey, and you'd be shocked how high these detention standards are.
You know, you have members of Congress there as well, and they're arguing that this was a matter of oversight. I want you to listen to what Congressman Robert Menendez Jr. said yesterday.
We were there to conduct oversight.
Bob Menendez Jr.
They want to spin people. This is exactly what they've done their entire administration.
No, he's not.
They're separating families.
conducting.
Are you shitting me?
Tom.
No, it's not the proper way to do it. There's a proper way to conduct oversight. There's a way to make appointments, go in this facility. You don't break into a facility when a bus full of criminals are being, brought into that facility. This is about the safety and security of the employees. This is about the safety and security of the illegal aliens. And it's about the safety and security of the public. You just don't make an entry like that. You don't make an unauthorized entry while they're moving a bus of criminals in the facility. There's a right way and wrong way.
I had no idea. Yes, I assume that is Bob Menendez Jr. of New Jersey, is in Bob Menendez, the senator who just got sentenced to jail. Son. I will check and make sure. Just nope. The son of Senator Goldbars. Holy shit. Why? How?
Do it. Look, I've said from day one, you cannot support ICE. You can go ahead and support sanctuary cities, but you can't cross that line. You can't cross the line of impediment. You can't cross the line of knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien. You certainly can't trespass in a facility that's contracted by the U.S. government to house criminals.
I want an impediment in Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy.
Not going through the proper protocols.
The proper protocols are me impedimenting in Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy.
This creates a huge safety crisis, and these elected politicians know that. This isn't about
I can't
process. This isn't about constitution.
I can't hold somebody's teeth against them. I need some major tooth work done.
Move from this country. They don't want immigration.
Tin Man, welcome in. Thank you for being a freaking follower.
That's what it's all about. They can try to hide it all they want with these protests around the facility, but we can continue to do what we're doing. That facility's got some of the worst of the worst. We're keeping President Trump's promise to the American people that elected him for the sole reason of securing the border and removing these public.
But I would assume he has good health care.
Exactly what they're going to do. They can stand out and scream all they want. They can trespass, they'll be arrested. If they impede, they'll be arrested. If they knowingly harbor and conceal, they'll be arrested. We're going to do this job for the American people.
Well, they got the news cameras out there, which I'm sure was part of the goal. Meanwhile, the administration is
part of the goal.
Roadblocks over plans to expel illegal immigrants from the country. A U.S. judge ruled this week that deportation flights to Libya would violate a court order a day after reports surfaced that the administration was preparing to do just that. How are you handling these rulings?
Well, it's ridiculous. You got district court judges, district court judges, putting in
yes, that's how that works
against us doing our job. I mean, again, it isn't about the rule of law. Is you got these, outrageous judges trying to stop us from doing what the American people want us to do. We're simply enforcing the laws on the books. We're enforcing laws acted by Congress. Unlike the last administration, who not only ignored the law, they actively violated the law when they allowed millions of people an abuse of the parole program come to the United States. We are enforcing laws that Congress enacted, including the Alien Enemies Act. That was a law enacted by Congress. They wrote that law. The president signed that law. We're using the laws on the books.
That law's like a century old.
As fast as we can. And we got these outlandish judges throughout the country that are simply trying to stop us, putting roadblocks up. But again, when it gets to a higher court, we'll win this because we're simply enforcing the laws on the books. They're just trying to slow us down, but we're going to keep moving forward.
I only have a few seconds left, but finally, ABC reported this week that the DOJ is investigating the 2022 traffic stop of Kilmar Obrego Garcia. Apparently, he's accused of acting as a taxi service for a convicted felon transporting illegal.
By whom?
States. Are you familiar with that report?
A cop was just talking out his ass. There's no proof of anything.
Well, look, it's being totally investigated by...
This is insane.
When you talk about trafficking, who is he trafficking, right? We need to see, is he trafficking just illegal labor? Or is he trafficking people that are being forced labor? Is he trafficking women and children who are being sex slavery? I mean, is he trafficking on known suspected terrorists? We don't know. That's why we're going to investigate this. We know he's involved. We got to find out exactly who is...
We don't know. He has been accused of nothing. They let him go. Because they had no evidence. You just named off all of those things as fascist propaganda to try to paint him as something that he is not.
What organization he was involved with. We know he's, associated with the TDA, but when it comes to trafficking, they can traffic anybody from...
We don't know that.
Looking for a better life to an unknown terrorist that's come to this country to do us harm. That's why this needs to be investigated right to the fullest extent.
Tom Homan, we appreciate so much you being with us on this Saturday morning. Thank you. Good to see you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Shut up, Ducey. You know, I might. I'd have to think on it. If I was a little intoxicated, for sure. Check this out. Some hackers released some of the information about the deportation flights. This is insane.
More than a month after The Atlantic broke the story that top U.S. officials were using the commercial messaging app Signal to share military attack plans, the Trump administration's handling of sensitive data is still under scrutiny. Hackers targeted another app used by high-ranking Trump officials known as Telemessage, and also stole passenger information from one of the main airlines used by the White House to deport migrants. Joseph Cox is the co-founder of 404 Media.
Joseph Cox.
These hacks. Joseph, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start with your investigation into the hack on the deportation flights. What information was accessed and why is it valuable?
So GlobalX is one of the primary airlines that ICE uses to deport people. It did this during the previous administration, it's doing it during this one as well. When a hacker recently targeted GlobalX, it took flight information, which is not that valuable because that's already publicly available, but some really interesting details that it did manage to get were these passenger lists, which actually tell us who was on each of these flights. And of course, that is not publicly available information.
So that means information about the specific passengers.
Yeah, information about the specific passengers on each flight is what the hacker obtained and then sent to us and other journalists as well. And that allows us to determine, well, who exactly has been sent to each individual country. And for example, there was an internal government list of people sent to the El Salvador mega prison that was published by CBS. But if we go through the flights like we did at 404 Media, we actually get more names of people who've been sent to the country as well on those same dates.
You've also reported on the hacking of Telemessage, an app used by Trump administration officials to back up copies of their chats. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so over the weekend, a hacker targeted Telemessage, which is a clone of Signal, this very popular secure messaging app that lots of people may be familiar with. To be clear, it's not exactly the same as Signal. Signal remains very much secure, and people use that for secure communication all of the time. This was making copies of all of the messages used by whichever Trump officials happen to be using it to comply with, government regulations over keeping copies of their messages. A hacker managed to break in and actually get the content of group chats, direct messages, and then send them to us as journalists as well. I haven't seen, for example, Mike Waltz's, the then National Security Advisor's messages, but we did see messages belonging to other users of Telemessage, and just goes to show really how sensitive this data is, and it could easily fall into the wrong hands.
Meanwhile, I also want to ask you about the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, run by Elon Musk, because they're trying to create a
Is that still a thing?
Personal data about millions of Americans, and security experts have raised alarms about this and the collection.
Didn't they kick Elon out?
They say it potentially bypasses data sharing protocols. Would this make Americans' personal information more susceptible to hacks?
I think there's an inherent risk in bringing more data together that's usually siloed. It could be secure in one location, then another. If you break down those firewalls between different agencies and then make it much more easily accessible to Doge or agencies working with Doge, that does potentially introduce more security risk and vulnerabilities. So either Doge itself or outside hackers could potentially get into as well.
And lastly, big picture, Joseph, when we're looking at all this, the hack,
Joseph Cox,
what Doge is doing, what?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I just like torturing you guys with that, I guess.
What does it say about the handling of sensitive data and Americans' personal data by this administration?
I think a lot of this shows the data is being handled in a pretty sloppy fashion, to be frank, with the Doge stuff breaking down these firewalls, with Mike Waltz and other national security officials using Signal, then using this insecure version, and then hackers targeting those systems and Global X. I mean, it's very concerning that this really sensitive information and communications, I mean, it already is falling into the hands of third parties as well.
Joseph Cox of 404 Media.
Fur parties.
Thank you so much.
That's where the furries go to do drugs. Fur parties. Furry drug orgies. I don't know about this. Can any furry confirm? A judge has ordered the release of a Tufts grad student from ICE custody.
Jessica and Ben, even though Rumeysa Ozturk appeared virtually, everyone in the courtroom could see her on the monitor, and there were a lot of tears as the judge issued his decision to release her. Ozturk wearing an orange prison uniform, she appeared virtually and took part in today's bail hearing from the Louisiana ICE facility. She testified about why she should be released, with a focus on her worsening asthma attacks. It has been 6 weeks since ICE agents took her into custody in Somerville. Her student visa was revoked without notice. Her attorneys say she's being targeted because of a pro-Palestinian op-ed that she wrote in the Tufts student newspaper. And today, the judge affirming that the federal government did not provide any evidence of wrongdoing and ordered that she be released immediately.
I think there's a lot of relief from all of us who were there. Rumeysa is someone who's really beloved in our campus community. And, you know, the past 6 weeks have been really hard on a lot of us. And we're really relieved that she is coming home safe.
Now, in the courtroom, as the
just imprisoning students,
his decision, it
became having the wrong opinion.
What he was going to do, and we could see Ozturk on the monitor smile with her attorney, holding hands. Then, when the hearing was over, they hugged, and that is when the.
Can anyone say violating the First Amendment?
To be released today, but her legal battles are not over. She is still subject to immigration proceedings, and later this month there is expected to be a hearing about the alleged violation of her constitutional rights. Live in Burlington, Vermont, Sarah Kahn, GW, CVB News Center.
It's okay, though. You know, the administration isn't openly talking about suspending your writ of habeas corpus fucking. Your writ of habeas corpse fucking. A right that predates this country, by the way. Femvox, good evening. This is like Magna Carta shit over here.
Hold on, there's a question back there first.
On the ICE quick one first, you know, President Trump has talked about potentially suspending his corpus to take care of the illegal.
Should have content warning Stephen Miller, shouldn't I have?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed this.
Yes, it's supreme. Your fascism comes with sour cream and pico de gallo.
called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch, the courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller. God, he sucks. Someone else who sucks is Kash Patel, the director of the FBI. This happened on Thursday, I believe. Testified in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee. This is his showdown with Jeff Merkley. Senator Jeff Merkley versus Director Kash Patel.
And thank you very much, Director Patel. And so as I understood it, you testified yesterday that
row your judge.
Another $1 billion added on to the FY25 level to do the additional work you'd like to do on drug interdiction, fentanyl in general, and anti-terrorism. And today you gave us a budget that requests cutting $500 million. Which is it? Do you want us to, what are you asking of this committee? To add funds, add $1 billion, or to cut $500 million?
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate the opportunity. What I'm asking for is that with more, I can simply do more. And I was giving examples of what more I could do. I can do the mission, and I'm supporting, and am in support.
He's talking about cocaine.
Here, and I'm working with appropriators and you to fill the gaps.
So you support the budget presented that cuts $500 million, but you also support us adding $1 billion should we choose to do that?
Well, I can't not support the budget as proposed, because then I would be supporting no budget.
This dude really makes the right dicks hard.
We look forward to further details from you about how you plan to modify the function of FBI on these different missions that you've highlighted today, so that we can give it the appropriate consideration. Director Patel, you're familiar with the Fifth Amendment.
Yes, Senator.
And it is really the freedom clause of the United States. It was 4 years into being a nation when Congress and the states said, hey, we have to make sure that there's not an over-aggressive government in the future that deprives us of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Yes.
And you're familiar that that applies to all persons in the United States.
Yes, Senator.
So there's been a lot of concern about the several hundred immigrants who were swept off the streets of America and sent to El Salvador without due process. And does that concern you?
Senator, I'm not in a position to comment on whether or not they were given or not given due process or are supposed to be afforded due process. All the FBI did and all the FBI will continue to do is arrest those that have violated the law.
Okay, but to arrest, you have to investigate. Have you launched an investigation of this violation of the Freedom Clause of the U.S. Constitution?
Senator, I don't know that I agree with your characterization.
Well, that was my first question, whether or not you agree with the Fifth Amendment and are prepared to defend it. It is your job to investigate crimes.
Yes, I agree with the Fifth Amendment. I agree with the entire Constitution, and the men and women at the FBI decide.
So are you going to
do you, sir?
Of the reported violation
Tier 2
process of several hundred individuals?
Again, Senator, it's not for me to call the balls and strikes on it. The men and women at the FBI who are trained to open investigations will make those.
I got some balls for you.
So you have no influence over whether an investigation is opened?
I have influence over it, but you're asking me a constitutional question. I'm not a constitutional scholar.
Well, it's actually not it's a question also of law.
But your position is that every one of those individuals is by constitutional right afforded due process. I
yes.
Answer to that. I'm telling
you haven't read the Constitution?
I've
It
got
says
it,
all persons.
I've got it right here, but what you're saying is that every single one of the illegals that was sent down to El Salvador is supposed to be given due process.
Yes.
That's what the Constitution says. It says
doesn't
no person.
say that.
It does.
It does say no person. Yeah, I'll encourage you to read it.
I
Because it's also
read it
been
every day.
affirmed by the Supreme Court repeatedly.
Yes.
In the case of Miranda versus Arizona, held the right of all individuals, regardless of citizenship status. The Supreme Court in Reno versus Flores. I mean, but it's the plain language of the Constitution. It concerns me that you're not familiar with the core concept of due process applying to all persons as written in black and white in the Constitution.
As the first public
Yes.
served at the FBI as its director, I am more aware of due
What?
process than any predecessor.
What? Playing identity politics up in here. The right is supposedly the anti-DEI side, playing identity politics over here.
Constitution.
As the first public defender who's ever served at the FBI.
Oh, he said public defender. I thought he said person of color.
Aware of due
I'm
process
sorry.
than any predecessor in my seat. You are delineating between removal proceedings and criminal acts. My job is to investigate criminal
Maybe I need to clean out my ears. Maybe I'm too high for this
Are
shit.
aware that the Fifth Amendment refers to
Glad I went back.
liberty
Hold up,
when
Smokey.
people are arrested on the street, detained and sent out of the country, that their liberty has been taken away.
Senator, that is a constitutional question that you are asking me to answer. It's not for me to answer.
The question has already been answered by the Supreme Court that they're protected. Therefore, it's a violation of law, and it's your responsibility to open an investigation. And you're saying today you will not do so?
I am not the agency involved in removal proceedings. That is a different branch of government.
So if an agency other than the FBI violates the law and the Constitution, you will not investigate because it's a different agency?
I will investigate every violation of law.
Well, you have, but you just said you're not investigating.
No. You and I are in disagreement on what is a violation of law.
What?
I have yet to hear from the Supreme Court your position as you have adjudicated it.
Well, very, very interesting, because the Supreme Court's been very clear, and I had heard you were trained in the law, so I expected maybe you
Bragg,
would
welcome in.
an oath to the Constitution.
I think I saw you earlier. I might not have
Thank you
shouted
for
you
the
out.
reminder.
Well, it's
Thank you for the reminder.
You're apparently unfamiliar with the very basics of the core protection of freedom in our Constitution.
What I am familiar with is protecting the American public, and that's what
Let me close with one question.
Whoa.
Will you make sure that due process in every action of the FBI is completely honored under your time as director?
Will I ensure that due process is followed?
Yes.
Under the Constitution?
Completely. Send that message throughout the FBI that due process must be followed, is constitutionally required. Make sure that it's done under your direction.
Sure.
Great. Thank you.
Senator Murkowski.
Sure. After all I've just played you, Senator Amy Klobuchar went on Meet the Press this morning and said, "We're not in a constitutional crisis." Remember her? She's got that Klobumentum.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. Senator Klobuchar, welcome back to me.
She's gonna run for president again, isn't she?
Thanks, Kristen. And happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you. Thank you for spending part of your Mother's Day with us. We really appreciate it. I do want to start on the big news of the day. Of course, there are these trade talks underway in Geneva, Switzerland. The U.S., of course, has argued that part of the goal here is to stem the flow of fentanyl. You in the past have supported targeted tariffs. And I wonder,
would trade fentanyl tariffs? What?
These tariffs do accomplish stemming the flow of fentanyl and leveling the playing field with China. Will you think that the Trump tariffs are a success?
Obviously, I'd like to see less fentanyl come into our country.
What a question.
That should be on the table for discussion. But the way this has been handled from the very beginning, Kristen, and the American people know it, chaos is up, corruption is up, and costs are up. Just ask any mom today on Mother's Day.
Chaos is up.
Get a stroller. They're up like 25%. This is real. I listened to my colleague from Wyoming, who I respect very much, but I'm thinking, let's get real here. Supply chain.
Amy, have you ever seen the episode of Kitchen Nightmares where he goes to Amy's baking company? You want to talk about someone named Amy that's cringe?
Problems for small businesses. They've lost 300,000 jobs in small businesses in just the first
Oh, you
months
should.
of this president's presidency. Only 37% of Americans think he's handling the economy right, and he has the lowest poll numbers of any president since polling started in the first 100 days. That's because Americans don't want to hear all this talking points. They know what's really happening in their lives, like a woman named Beth Beneke who owns a store called Busy Baby. She sells online, and her business has been decimated despite being
Busy Baby buggy bumpers.
Because
Beth Beneke Busy Babies.
they've been handling countries all over the world. Sure, I'm glad they're talking, but they have assessed 10% to 25% tariffs on our allies, the very people that we would need, our friends and allies, in order to deal with China. So to me, they've been approaching this all upside down. Targeted tariffs, yes.
Busy Babies by Beth Beneke.
Canada-Mexico trade agreement with the U.S. to strengthen that instead of these across-the-board tariff taxes on all Americans, and now a baby tax.
Senator, let me ask you about another part of my conversation, as you say, with your colleague, John Barrasso. I asked him about Stephen Miller coming out saying the administration is looking into the possibility of suspending habeas corpus. As I noted, the Constitution says that is a right that lies with Congress. What, if anything, will you do if the Trump administration
habeas corpse
try to suspend habeas corpus? Do you believe you have any recourse?
I listened to the interview, the good interview you did with the president last week, and I think we start with that. When you ask him, do you respect the Constitution? Will you follow the Constitution? He says, I don't know. I'll have to ask the lawyer. He takes an oath to preserve and protect and defend the Constitution.
Yeah, but he's also dumb.
And in that Constitution, there is a right of habeas corpus. And as you point out, only the Congress can reverse it. Even conservative commentators have said that. But to me, you know what? That isn't really the issue. The issue is that Stephen Miller brings that up on a Friday just to throw it out there. You heard the reaction of John Barrasso. This is now
testing the waters
in Congress. Why is he doing that? So you ask me about it on a Sunday show. I'm telling you right now, he's doing it because they don't want to focus on what's really in front of them, and that they have created havoc in our economy that was improving, and now we have people out there scared to death that they're not going to be able to get their Social Security because people aren't working there to answer their calls. They're not going to be able to get their Medicaid and be able to have their mom in assisted living. And yeah, their small businesses are folding. That's what's happening right now, and they don't want to deal with it. So they keep throwing out these things just so we all talk about them for 4 days. And I am frankly tired of it because, no, they're not going to reverse habeas corpus in the Congress. That's not going to happen.
Well, Senator,
I mean,
some of your colleagues,
you say so.
Leader Chuck Schumer, for example, says the United States is in a constitutional crisis right now. You have stopped short of saying that in recent interviews. Let me ask you now, do you think the United States is in a constitutional crisis?
I've made very
10-11, welcome in.
Closer to one. But the reason we're not in a constitutional crisis like we have been at any moment, other moments in our country, like, say, the Civil War, when the states were actually dividing and seceding, we are not in a constitutional crisis because of the courts of this country. Over 100 of them, including multiple Trump-appointed judges, have stood up and said, hey, this is unconstitutional. You can't steal people's private data in Social Security, Elon Musk. You cannot freeze funds for medical research that a Democratic and Republican Congress have already allocated for life-saving cancer trials. That's what's been going on right now. It is a stress test on our Constitution, that's for sure. And the second thing that I'd like to see happen more, since we have 3 co-equal branches of government, is that the rubber stamp Republicans in Congress would actually stand up and say, you know what, this tariff tax of $4,000 per family is not good for my constituents. They could actually take back their power and say no to this president instead of rubber stamping every single thing he does.
Senator, let me get your reaction to what we heard from former President Biden, who spoke out this week for the first time leaving office. Here he is talking about his exit from the 2024 race. Take a look.
Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered.
Oh, you dipshit.
Senator, would the party have had a better chance of winning in 2024 had President Biden dropped out sooner?
You know, everything we look at.
Come on, Amy. You know you would have liked to have been in that primary. You think you would have had a better shot than Kamala Harris. So answer the question honestly. I know for a fact that you think you had a better shot than Harris. So come on. Be truthful with us, Amy.
In a rearview mirror after you lose an election, yes, we would have been served better by a primary. But we are where we are. We're not on the channel right now. And I believe that President Biden can come out and speak and do interviews whenever he wants. But I will say this, we're not in the History Channel, and our Republican colleagues, instead of dealing with where we are now, think they're in some kind of a wayback zone, that they can go in some kind of bring time backwards and
bring time backwards machine.
Donald Trump is the president right now, and we have to deal with helping the American people.
She butchered that one.
We want to focus on lowering costs, on finding new ways to build more housing and get more affordable energy, on really working with our entrepreneurs all over the country.
Lucy's churning butter.
This moment that we have with everything from mapping the human genome to AI to actually expanding more small businesses, not retracting them like this president is doing.
Senator,
so I'm not interested in going backwards in time. I'm interested in going forward.
One more, because former President Biden did do a series of interviews this week. He was asked whether he was surprised that Vice President Harris lost. Here's his response there.
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. But I was surprised.
I mean...
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that.
Senator, do you worry when you hear that the lesson that Democrats will take from the 2024 election is that they shouldn't put a woman at the top of the ticket?
Yeah, wrong lesson.
I hope not. You have seen women run other countries quite well. Angela Merkel comes to mind in Germany.
It wasn't sexism, it was literally Biden's policies.
Incredible mayors, incredible.
We have the data.
I look in the Senate for Democrats in the last election. 3 of the 4 races where we beat the presidential ticket were women running. In Michigan, women running. In Nevada, women running in Wisconsin. I mean, this happened. So I don't think that's a lesson to learn. I know it's not easy running as a woman. If it was, we could play the game, pick your favorite woman president.
Yeah.
We can't. But I think the president understands there's been sexism, President Biden does. But to me, I just want to move forward. And we've got incredible candidates across the board running at all levels of government. So let's work on helping the American people.
She thinks she's one of them, too.
Instead of looking at what happened years ago, I want to look at the now, and people need our help.
Let's look forward. I know you know how tough it is to run for president because you've done it before. Would you rule out running again, Senator? Yes or no? We're out of time.
I am focused on my job right now. I'm
of course you are.
Leadership in the Senate, and we have
You're running for president.
And that means making sure people have got their Medicaid, their Social Security, and taking on these Trump tariffs that are hurting the American people and our economy and not helping small businesses. I want a better America, and I just don't think that's how we're going to get there with this president.
I don't hear you ruling it out, Senator Klobuchar.
She's not ruling out. She's totally going to run.
Mother's Day
great to be
again.
on. Happy.
Oh, hold on.
Enjoy the rest of your day. We really appreciate you joining us on Mother's Day.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester.
News and top stories on the...
My bad. The FBI may not know what is constitutional or not, but they certainly are launching an investigation into Letitia James. Federal prosecutors opened criminal investigation into New York Attorney General Tish James. Prosecutors impanel federal grand jury in Virginia to hear evidence after Trump officials' referral against Letitia James. So, of course, all this is a referral from a Trump official. Light one up, tip one back. Federal prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into New York's Attorney General Letitia James after the Trump administration alleged last month in a referral that she may have falsified paperwork for property she owns in Virginia and New York, according to people familiar with the matter. The investigation marks a swift and notable escalation against James, a major political enemy of Donald Trump, who was ordered to pay more than $450 million in penalties as a result of a lawsuit brought by James's office that accused him of inflating his net worth to secure financial benefits. In what appears to be the early stages of the FBI criminal investigation, prosecutors have impaneled a federal grand jury to hear evidence in the Eastern District of Virginia after the head of the Federal Housing Agency, William Pulte, last month made the referral to the Justice Department. The investigation appears to be multi-pronged with involvement from the FBI in New York in addition to Virginia. The investigation appears to have gathered pace only in recent weeks, with news of the grand jury filtering through Trump's orbit in the last few days of April. The criminal referral rehashed claims touted online by Trump allies that James may have committed fraud by testing in paperwork in 2023 that she would make a house in Norfolk, Virginia, which she was helping a relative to buy as her principal residence while she was New York's Attorney General. Whether the allegations are, this is just absolute bullshit. Whether the allegations are substantial enough to result in criminal charges remains unclear, but its existence, which has not been previously reported, regardless, raises the legal stakes for James in what appears to be the first criminal inquiry into one of Trump's foremost political adversaries. James has dismissed the allegations as politically motivated retribution. In a letter to the Justice Department last month, James's lawyer argued the residency claim was a mistake and that she had told the mortgage broker that the house would not be her main residence. So she held a town hall on Friday, I think it was. And she spoke about these allegations. This is from the town hall with Letitia James.
Hi, thank you. And thank you. I mean,
Don't get it. Come on. Breathe. It's okay. Now go.
we know that you are protecting us, and we are here to protect you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Niall Sally. From Westchester, from White Plains, work for Westchester County. It just seems that we all here are normal people. And if it was us, we'd be in trouble. But it constantly seems that we have to go to court. We have to see. And I think many of us know that it's illegal. But I just wonder what the process is to move this forward so that we can survive this.
We're going to be okay because we're all in this together, one community. And each and every time he issues an executive order, we respond. We prepared for this moment prior to the election. We all came together because I was there during Trump 1, Trump 1.0, and so many others. We analyzed Project 2025. We analyzed jurisdiction. We analyzed claims. We analyzed standing. We distributed all of the subject matter to each respective states. We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side, and the one institution that has stood by our side is the courts. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive. I was holding back, trying to be good.
Thistle girl, what are you talking about? Like, the dude for Project 2025 works in the administration. They're doing exactly what Project 2025 called for. What are you talking about? She did not prosecute Trump for doing what she did. I can't even tell you what, if you can't explain to me what the crime was. And also, she has only been accused, and there's an open investigation. She hasn't even had a charge brought against her. Trump has actually been convicted. Like, you see the difference here. Like, this is why I call right-wingers morons. I mean, if she did something wrong, we would totally, like, say, hold her accountable for it. That's the difference between us and right-wingers. No, convicted in an actual court. You don't just, like, your feelings don't matter, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. Just because you are in a cult and you think your leader can do no wrong doesn't make it true. Do they know who? What are you? We're like, do you not see me? I do the news every night. What are you? Of course I know exactly what happened. This was the nominee to be U.S. District Attorney for the D.C. District. His name is Ed Martin. He was even opposed by Republicans because he so brazenly praised a literal Nazi that he has now had his nomination withdrawn. Judge Jeanine Pirro is the new nominee. This is him getting spat on.
Good. So we
the Newsmax interview.
Who are you? You are Martin. How you doing? Whoa. You are a disgusting man.
Disgusting man.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the disgusting one. Folks, breaking
Yeah.
deranged left-winger spitting on President Trump's pick to be U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C.
Good. So we need to get really focused.
Who are you? You are Martin.
How you doing? Whoa.
You are a disgusting man.
Look at the puppy.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah, she spit on a dude that praised a Nazi. That's what Nazi sympathizers deserve in this country. Just throwing it out there. She knows he praised a Nazi, and that's why he's no longer the charges have been pressed. She's been arrested.
Good. So we need to get really focused.
Who are you? You are Martin.
How you doing? Whoa.
You are Ed Martin.
That's right.
Yeah, he's the disgusting one. Folks, breaking moments ago, a deranged left-winger spitting on President Trump's pick to be U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C.
She's kicking authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
He's covered in spit. I love it. Donald Trump out here accepting a bribe from the Qatari government. Gonna make a luxury plane, the new Air Force One.
President Trump preparing for a major foreign trip, leaving tomorrow for crucial meetings in the Middle East. Hi, I'm Phil Lipoff. He will make stops in Saudi Arabia and the UAE over the next several days, and notably, no plans to visit Israel. The trade war ongoing in the Middle East and peace talks in the Russia-Ukraine war are expected to dominate much of that discussion. And while in Qatar, sources tell ABC News, President Trump is expected to accept what's likely the most expensive gift a foreign government has ever given to a U.S. president, a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet. The president
it's a Boeing
as the new Air Force One. Aviation experts say the plane is worth an estimated $400 million before the U.S. Air Force makes modifications that the president will need. Let's get right to ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang and ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy. Selena, I want to begin with you. What are President Trump's top priorities outside of the jet with this trip to the Middle East? And does this luxury plane from Qatar raise any red flags in Washington?
I got told that the other week. A dude that voted for Trump told me that I was more responsible for Trump than he was, even though he voted for Trump and I didn't. Weird thinking these people go for over here.
Yeah, well, Phil, first of all, the fact that the president is choosing Saudi Arabia as the first major foreign trip of his second term just signifies this growing political and economic relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia under the Trump administration. You'll remember that Saudi Arabia was also where President Trump had chosen to take his first foreign trip in his first term, and he's once again breaking tradition by skipping over America's closest neighbors. Now, this does come as the Gulf has played a critical role in mediating.
Is this Selena Wang?
World, including the war in Ukraine, with Saudi Arabia serving as a venue for separate U.S. talks with both Russia and Ukraine. This also comes as the Trump administration is trying to make progress when it comes to the humanitarian crisis and the war in Gaza. Now, when it comes to that luxury plane, it certainly raises questions about whether or not...
No, Tones. That's a very good point, Tones. Did he hire a director of national intelligence, that's Tulsi Gabbard, that will care enough about our national security to scan that plane for any kind of cyber threat? Holy shit.
It's legal for the Trump administration.
That plane's probably bugged.
The Trump Presidential Library Foundation to accept such a valuable gift from a foreign power. But sources are telling us that both the White House and the Department of Justice have concluded that because the gift doesn't come with any conditions, it's not conditioned on any official act, they're considering that
Media
this
Lynch
constitute bribery.
Wow.
At stake as President Trump meets with these leaders?
So, Phil, of course, there is a lot of economic aspects to this, particularly investments in the United States when it comes to these countries.
Well, it is a Boeing. That is a positive.
Assets in the region are housed and hosted by these countries, including our forward command center for Central Command and our major air operations, major maritime operations are all in this region. Some of which are hosted by the countries you already mentioned.
Because they're more crashy.
For us to show our appreciation for that, because it gives us the ability to project force.
Bulletproof, welcome in.
Really unparalleled among any other countries.
And Selena, these trade talks between the U.S. and China are underway, as you know, in Switzerland. I know you've been digging into this. Any progress towards lowering tariffs yet?
Yeah, well, we're on day 2 now of these talks in Switzerland, and it's unclear exactly where these discussions stand, but we're getting positive signs from the White House. So you have President Trump posting on Truth Social that great progress is being made, adding that it was a, quote, total reset. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told reporters today in Switzerland that
he reset the game system.
Progress has been made and that a briefing will be held tomorrow on the conversations. This also comes as Trade Representative Jamieson Greer told reporters that a deal has been made with China. Take a listen to what else he said.
Just remember why we're here in the first place is the United States has a massive $1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs. And we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
So, Phil, we've reached out to the White House for clarification on whether or not a deal has actually been reached, since the Treasury Secretary described the talks as progress being made, not a deal actually being struck. Remember, going into these conversations, Phil, U.S. officials had downplayed expectations, saying that this meeting was really more about de-escalating tensions, not actually coming to a full trade agreement. And we also have yet to hear officially from Beijing.
All right, Selena Wang, McMulroy, thank you both.
Selena Wang. Yeah, she did a really good job. Also not bad to look at. 10 out of 10 with titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Apparently blowing on the cartridge doesn't mean anything. So we have new questions because of this apparent deal they have struck with China.
Tonight, the Trump administration teasing a new trade deal with China without providing details. American and global consumers bracing for what's next, as tariffs could send the prices of everything from food to toys to construction materials skyrocketing. After 2 days of negotiations in Switzerland with top Chinese officials, Trade Representative Jamieson Greer saying this.
And we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent signaling more information will come soon.
I spoke to President Trump, and he is fully informed of what is going on, so there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning.
Chinese officials saying the announcement will be big news for the world.
Trade wars produce no winners.
News of a potential deal was welcomed by some, including Joe Shammy, the president of Delta Children, one of the nation's largest.
Joe Shammy? His last name is Shammy? I bet whatever he's doing is a sham, right?
Largest children furniture brands. How are you feeling that a trade deal might potentially have been reached?
I am so excited. This is great for America. For now, we've been holding price, and we've been hopeful that this day would come faster.
Meanwhile, in Washington, 4 sources telling NBC News that President Trump is preparing to accept a super luxury jumbo jet from Qatar to use.
We've already covered that. I wanted to know more about the trade deal. Suncats, welcome in. Do you like cats? I like cats. He's not massive. He is like the other two are fatter. He's slender. He's just really long. When he stretches out, I've never had a cat as long as him. He stretches out. He's like fucking almost 6 foot, it seems. He lays right beside me in the couch or in the bed. But he's very slender. He's the sleek, slender one of the bunch. Zon, welcome in. That is Smokey Bong. Mr. Bong, if you're nasty. Here's how Trump's trade war. I would assume he would eat me. I think they'd be sad. They all really like me, but I think eventually they'd eat me. Because, you know, their cat, like, it's got to eat. That's Mr. Bong. Socrates is on that chair. He's right there. There's a black blob. He's a tuxedo cat. You can kind of see his white toe beans. He was named Socks because it looks like he's wearing socks. He's got a white belly and it's really soft. But he's like you can barely see him because he's black. He's got his tuxedo on, and he is the cuddliest cat that has ever existed. He's my bedtime buddy. If I didn't live in an apartment, if I had a house with a yard and everything, I'd totally have a dog. I love puppies too, but it's wrong to have a puppy if you can't. And also, I have cats because at the time that I got them, it was more of a, like I could possibly go to Atlanta for 4 or 5 days, and you can leave cats alone, and they're pretty self-sufficient. You just give them enough food and water. But puppies need attention daily. They're very needy. So puppies just didn't match my lifestyle. Absolutely. You gotta have depends on, there are apartments where, maybe if you got a small dog, it'd totally work out. Cause like the apartments I used to live in where it was like next to National Park. We had a dog park in the apartment complex. It had a screened in back patio because my cats used to love to go out on the back patio and chill. That kind of an apartment complex, you can have a puppers. Lamp boobs, welcome in. Get a small old dog and keep him in a jar. Here's how Trump's trade wars are already affecting U.S. The Seattle port chief is sounding the alarm. What things are going to look like over the next couple of weeks.
All right, literally minutes ago, we got Donald Trump.
Literally minutes.
Today's first round of trade talks with China. Trump just posted that it was, quote, a very good meeting and a total reset negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. The meeting comes as the very first Chinese goods that were hit with Trump's 145% tariffs started arriving at U.S. ports yesterday. Here are just some of the companies with products on those ships: Amazon, Home Depot, IKEA, Ralph Lauren, and Tractor Supply. In other words, a lot of places where a lot of people shop. Meanwhile, though, Seattle was still seeing a slump at the shipping dock.
Don't shop at any of those
Seattle
places.
Port Commissioner Ryan Culkin said on Thursday, we currently have no container ships. And Port of Seattle Commissioner Ryan Culkin joins me now. Commissioner, it's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, have any ships started arriving, or is it still pretty empty? What's your assessment?
Has your ship come in?
We had a couple of ships come in yesterday, unload, and then depart. And so once again, as of today,
there's too many people in this segment.
Right now at the Port of Seattle.
Like, this dude is the one with the information you need to hear from. Why are they just there because they're nice to look at? They are, but he's the one that's got the information we want. Who are these people?
Or is it still pretty?
Is this some sort of panel show
right now?
We had a couple of ships come in yesterday, unload, and then depart. And so once again, as of today, we have 0 ships at berths right now at the Port of Seattle. Our sister.
Oh my God, clinically, you know what I was just thinking? That I'd accept that orgy couch.
We had a couple of ships come in yesterday, unload, and then depart. And so
my ship has come in.
We have 0 ships at berths right now at the Port of Seattle. Our sister port in Tacoma currently has 1 ship, as well as a ro-ro carrier. That's a car carrier.
Trump had this to say on Thursday when asked about the slowdown. Take a listen.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned, we're seeing as a result the ports here in the U.S. The traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
Yeah, no, that means we lose less money. You know, when I see that means we lose less money.
Sorry, anonymously.
So, Commissioner, what is your...
Well, clinically said it first. I was going to let it slide by.
Situation. What do you think the knock-on effects of the slowdown in port traffic will be?
Well, I think the slowdown in port traffic is going to have real impacts for working families around the. It's going to have real impacts.
And for those who don't know, the orgy couch comes from, like, we'll watch a segment from Fox News, and they always have that round couch. So there'll be like 5 people on it. And the way you play orgy couches, you have to accept everybody. You can't just pick and choose. You have to be sexually active with everybody on the couch. And would you accept this orgy couch? And like, I'm in on most of them, even the Fox News people. I've gotten to where like Harris Faulkner, she's got some really wild eyes. I bet she freaky diggy. She can be my GOP mommy. Are they my cousins or something? Possibly. This dude looks like he could be my cousin. If he's from the hills of West Virginia, it's possible.
Impacts for working families around the country, not only just at the ports where we see fewer longshore workers coming in, fewer truck drivers coming to pick up loads, fewer trains coming into.
Dougie is a no on all orgy couches.
Areas like Chicago and Des Moines. It's going to have real impacts. And unfortunately, the longer the dispute carries on, the longer the disruption for American consumers and American workers will be.
And, just the other day, the CEO of Vision, which tracks trade, told CNBC this. We haven't seen anything like this since the disruptions of the summer of 2020. That means goods expected to arrive the next 6 weeks.
That bad?
Won't. With tariffs driving costs higher, small businesses are pausing orders and so on. I think for a lot of Americans, it's quite scary to hear any kind of comparison to the pandemic, to 2020.
This is apparently hitting just right on time.
Risk the emergency
to really fuck up Christmas.
I do think so. Now, I do want to say that a lot of American businesses were very smart in anticipating a tariff disruption, and so they did a great job of building up inventory in anticipation of potential Trump tariffs. But that's only going to tide us over so long. And we know that factories have shuttered in China. We know that year over year, exports from China went down in April by 20%. Keep in mind that for most of April, they were still able to get goods on ships and to us, so that if something had left by the time these tariffs were implemented and were on a ship on the way to the United States, they would still land tariff-free.
And I don't know what this unrest looks like.
It's leaving China now. It's going to be hit with that 145% tariff. So I'm hoping that these talks in Switzerland this week will result in fruitful negotiations, that we can get commerce moving again. Because sincerely, there is no greater beneficiary of an open and liberal marketplace on the world stage than the United States. It has led
to create some strange bedfellows.
Our businesses and farmers who export, but also American consumers who benefit from the opportunity to buy goods that are produced elsewhere at cheaper rates.
What goods would normally be coming over around now? Is it Christmas products? What would normally be coming in that's not arriving?
Well, you can imagine that the supply chain can take months, 3 to 6 months for a wholesaler or retailer.
And this dude's one of their better reporters, right? I have no idea who these two are.
And then distributed to their warehouses around the country. So, if you work back from that, right now, the inventory is built up for back to school sales for the fall.
I did some Shakespeare.
In not too distant future, they're going to start planning for the Christmas season. So if they don't have the certainty of a tariff rate that's locked in, that is, quite honestly,
well, Lord, welcome in.
They're not going to be buying anything from China.
Is that where the phrase comes from? I had no idea.
Soon, it will make it very difficult for retailers like the ones you mentioned at the top of this segment.
The fun phrase.
To do business planning around, that kind of holiday rush.
Commissioner, we're almost out of time, but I wanted just to ask you really quickly, how irreversible is this? I mean, there's a concern that once these products don't arrive to the U.S., if China finds a new market and starts opening new markets for these products, it becomes harder for us here in the U.S. to access those.
T-minus out in the desert.
That is a long-term concern, or do you believe that
what are you hauling?
It is irreversible?
Have you seen your loads decrease?
Well, my concern right now is the immediate impacts. But secondarily, I'm afraid that if we don't have inventory on store shelves, that retailers are going to have to start thinking about layoffs and other actions to preserve cash as businesses. And if they do that, that will contribute to a cycle that could lead to recession. And so if we don't resolve this quickly, we might see ourselves tip into recession, which will have even greater implications than just the trade war.
Commissioner Ryan Calkins, thank you so much for joining us.
Ryan Caucus. Wow. We've had a lot of cock tonight.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Let's shift gears from cock to cocaine. Did President of France do cocaine with other world leaders on a plane? The truth behind the viral video of French President Emmanuel Macron and world leaders. A video of Emmanuel Macron meeting with world leaders has sparked wild theories after the French president was seen reaching onto a table to hide a white object.
Oh, it's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland.
And through my bathroom, huh?
There's Keir Starmer.
It's literally. We came through Germany.
Yeah. That's Mertz.
Bedroom and
we got
from Germany.
Make a photo and after that you will be allowed to drink.
Yeah.
Oh, he does look guilty as fuck. What? Yeah. I was going to say that doesn't look like a baggie of coke, but he looks guilty as shit. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And then we made it to
German bedroom and
we got through the border.
Right.
Make a photo and after that you will be allowed to drink.
Yeah.
What? Apparently, the story is that they didn't know that the reporters were coming in. That this was a completely private meeting, and a assistant let them in by accident or some shit like that. This is on a plane ride. What do you guys think? I was gonna say, up until I saw him grab it and act like he's like a cokehead that I've absolutely seen in my life.
Super. And through my bathroom, huh?
Apparently, they're going to debunk this for us.
Yeah.
We came through Germany.
Yeah.
And then we made it to
German bedroom and
we got
this is Starmer, Mertz, Emmanuel Macron,
be allowed to drink.
Yeah.
Germany, the UK, and France.
Super.
Yeah.
Tout le monde va bien. Ok, c'est bon. Merci. Merci bien. Thank you.
Ah ouais.
Holiday says no. A video of Emmanuel Macron holding a white object during a meeting with his British and German counterparts has gone viral online, with some accusing the French president of concealing a bag of cocaine in wild claims that have been shut down by French media. The video, shared widely on social media, shows Mr. Macron sitting down with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz on board it's a train, not a plane, a train, traveling from Poland to Ukraine. As the world leaders pose for photos, footage shows Mr. Macron quickly swiping a white object from the table with his white hand before discreetly moving it to his left hand beneath the table and out of view. The clip sparked widespread speculation online, with some alleging the object to be a bag of white powdered cocaine. 3 men in a bag of white powder, one person on Twitter wrote. Notice how Macron sneakily and deftly swipes it out of the camera's view. The German Chancellor Merz takes care of the spoon. Wait, where? Whoa, there was a spoon? There was a spoon? No way.
I was on crack.
Right.
I did not see a spoon in this situation. We gotta go back.
It's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland.
And through my bathroom, huh?
Yeah.
Is that where the spoon is? Right there next to his glass?
It's literally, we came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
we got through the border.
Right.
Make a photo and after that you will, it will be allowed to drink.
Yeah.
Super.
Well, he's just holding the spoon. They all do look guilty as fuck, though. However, French media have shut down the conspiracy theories with publications such as Liberation stating that the object was simply a rolled-up handkerchief. High-quality photographs and videos, such as those taken by the AFP and AP news agencies, show that the mysterious bag of white powder is actually a handkerchief rolled into a ball that was placed on the table. I will say it does look like a handkerchief. Real nothing burger here, but it was fun to think that Macron, Mertz, and Keir I would have thought that would have made him look a lot cooler myself. The Pope giving his first Sunday, whatever the fuck it's called, calls Sunday Mass. Is that what a Catholic does? I think. Calls for peace in Ukraine and Gaza during the Sunday blessing.
Cheers echoed through St. Peter's Square as a new chapter began at the Vatican. For the first time, an American Pope offered a Sunday blessing to the world, drawing tens of thousands and sending a powerful message of peace. ABC's Patrick Reevell takes us there.
Today, stepping out onto the balcony over St. Peter's Square, Pope Leo XIV to give his first Sunday blessing.
Deus, Pater, et Filius, et Spiritus Sanctus.
My plan for world peace is drop pot and game consoles on everybody. Everybody gets pot and game consoles. World peace.
From below the
Lenny, welcome in.
100,000 people. The crowd from all over the world cheering this first American Pope.
You can see these bands arriving from pilgrim groups. Thousands of people have been streaming into St. Peter's Square.
Among the crowds, Americans excited to see the Pope from Chicago.
It's awesome. It's cool that we get to have someone that's, homegrown and shepherding the world.
I feel like that might make the little dick syndrome a little worse.
And the same experiences. He's from Chicago. He probably did White Castle or something.
Pope Leo used his first Sunday address to...
Wait, what? White Castle? The Pope is going to have White Castle for dinner? Is that what he said?
We get to have someone that's, homegrown and shepherding the world.
I mean, he probably grew up watching the same TV shows that we watched and the same experiences. He's from Chicago. He probably did White Castle or something.
Pope Leo used his first Sunday...
Why not mention Chicago-style pizza or some shit?
He called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and for a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. The Pope also wishing people a happy Mother's Day.
Buona festa a tutte le mamme.
In the morning, he visited the tomb of St. Peter under the Vatican, leading a mass there, his brother in the congregation. On the square, some Americans hoping Pope Leo can help ease divisions at home.
Hopefully a bridge so that he can maybe help people come from the extremes into the center more.
Pope Leo will be before the world's eyes again tomorrow, set to address global media here.
After his meeting with the media tomorrow, next Sunday, there will be another big event.
There's a lot more Catholics where you're at, Lenny. What has the Pope thing been like?
Patrick Reevell, ABC News, Vatican City.
I don't get the Pope thing either. I'm pretty sure the Catholic Church is a very evil institution. I don't even believe in evil. But if there was an institution that deserved the word evil, I would think it's the Catholic Church. The Pope calling for peace in Ukraine. Zelensky is apparently going to be meeting with Vladimir Putin after Trump is demanding they hold direct talks.
In the last hour, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he's prepared to meet Russia's Vladimir Putin for talks in Istanbul on Thursday, after President Trump appeared to hit out at
Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Ukraine and urged Mr. Zelensky to agree to talk with Russia immediately. In a post on X, the Ukrainian president also said that he expected a full ceasefire to start on Monday in order to provide the necessary basis for diplomacy to end the war. And I will be waiting for Putin in Turkey on Thursday, personally, he added. Earlier, in a post on his Truth Social platform, President Trump said President Putin of Russia doesn't want to have a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, but rather wants to meet on Thursday in Turkey to negotiate a possible end to the bloodbath. Ukraine should agree to this immediately. He went on to say at least they will be able to determine whether or not a deal is possible. Vladimir Putin offered direct talks in Istanbul in a TV address in the early hours of Saturday morning. We'll be live in Washington shortly, but first with me is our World Affairs correspondent, Joe Inwood. Do we think Thursday will actually happen in some form?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. We know from the Russians that they've offered these talks. They say that someone will be there. President Trump then says, as you were just mentioning, the talk should happen. And within minutes, we were speaking an hour ago, and between now and then, President Zelensky has come out on social media and said, I'll be there personally. And this is the really interesting thing here. President Putin never said he was going to be taking part in these talks. And previously, talks have happened at a lower level. I think it was Sergei Lavrov that took part in the last ones, which were in Istanbul in 2022, so more than 3 years.
Istanbul, not Constantinople. Oh, that's not it. I'm just assuming the copyright is way out on this. Released in 1953. God damn.
Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Been a long time gone, old Constantinople, still it's Turkish delight on a moonlit night. Every gal in Constantinople lives in Istanbul, not Constantinople. So if you've a date in Constantinople, she'll be waiting in Istanbul. Even old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why they changed it, I can't say. People just liked it better that way. Take me back to...
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a cooler version. You're one of those nerds. I played it because I'm sure there's no copyright on that one. Because it's so fucking old. The one you're probably referring to is probably the one I was going to grab, but I was like, oh, nope, that's not the original. Did we even find out what that story was about? Are we good to go on? We found the band geek. I knew that about her. I knew that, though. Live living back to normal in India after this ceasefire. I don't think it's older than Steamboat Willie. That's like the 30s, isn't it? Or 20s. People are against the war because people of the border area are most affected by this. I believe it's a good thing that's happened for India and Pakistan. Whatever ceasefire our prime minister must have got it done on his own terms. Whatever, Trump must have created an atmosphere. Wow. I'm a total band geek, DJ Dub. But both India and Pakistan have accused each other of violating the ceasefire. So who knows how long it's going to last. Josephus, welcome in. A bus skidded off a cliff in Sri Lanka, killing 21 people.
Tragedy in Sri Lanka. A passenger bus plunged off a cliff, killing 21 people and injuring at least 14 others.
The accident happened early this morning in a mountainous region east of the capital, Colombo. Police say the driver survived but is among the injured. Deadly bus crashes are common, especially in the mountainous regions, due to reckless driving and poorly maintained, dangerous, narrow, and winding roads.
Reckless driving. They're over here victim blaming. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, we've had a house explode. We've been covering a lot of houses exploding here lately.
2 people are dead after a home exploded in South Jersey earlier this morning. The blast jolted neighbors out of bed and left behind a horrifying scene. CBS News Philadelphia reporter Eva Anderson has the latest details as the investigation unfolds.
I tried to find longer, better video of the bus crash, but that one story was all I could find.
Neighbors say they woke up in the middle of the night to what looked and sounded like a war zone. Hours later, they say they feel very unsettled.
This is what neighbors awoke to around 2 a.m. Sunday. A home on Tranquility Court.
That would be unsettling.
Fully engulfed in flames. They say the fire was preceded by a series of booms that shook their homes.
It just jolted you. It was a big, I've never experienced that before. It was a huge explosion.
We spoke with Jill Roth as the fire was still being extinguished. She lives right next door.
My 92-year-old mother screamed, and I grabbed my dog and I grabbed my husband.
It's always the Irish. They're sneaky.
We got in the car.
Before fire crews arrived, Roth said she even considered trying to rescue whoever was inside.
I was going to run in and try to help them, but it was too late.
The Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office confirms a man and a woman were killed. This is now a criminal investigation. Officials believe it wasn't an accident, but say there's no threat to the community and no one was hurt.
It wasn't an wait a minute. Wait, whoa. 2 people were dead, but nobody was hurt. It wasn't an accident, but there's no criminal investigation. What the... What? Did I miss something?
I grabbed my dog and I grabbed my husband and we ran out of the house and we got in the car.
Before fire crews arrived, Roth said she even considered trying to rescue whoever was inside.
I was going to run in and try to help them, but it was too late.
The Gloucester County Prosecutor's Office confirms a man and a woman were killed. This is now a criminal investigation. Officials believe it wasn't an accident, but say there's no threat to the community and no one was hurt. Sunday afternoon, the scene was still haunting. Charred remains of a home and car, and next door, the intense heat had melted the siding off Roth's house.
Damn!
It's very scary.
Neighbors as far as 2 blocks away said they felt the force. A woman who lives across the street didn't want to appear on camera, but shared this video and her fear.
We thought something came through the roof. My first thought was there a bomb or something? I thought, is there a bomb in our house?
Sunday afternoon, she realized something from the explosion led to this hole in a front window.
It's terrifying. It's so sad. It's so sad because you just think people are just living their lives and You don't know what's going on with people. You don't ever really know what people are going through.
We're still working to get answers.
What does that mean?
From the prosecutor's office about what may have led to this, and if it wasn't an accident, what the possible motive could be. Reporting in Washington Township, Eva Anderson, CBS News, Philadelphia.
And what did the woman mean by, like, what people are going through? There's something funky going on there. It wasn't an accident, but there's no criminal investigation. Nobody was hurt, but 2 people are dead. Shit is fucked up in New Jersey. What is going on in New Jersey? A couple weeks ago, we covered a blackout with air traffic controllers for several minutes, multiple times, at the Newark airport. We have audio from the radar outage. Quesadilla, good evening. Oh, they said there's an ongoing criminal investigation? I can't hear tonight or something. My apologies. It's always been a shit show in New Jersey, apparently.
Developing right now, it is the second air traffic control outage in less than 2 weeks at the same Philadelphia facility that directs planes in and out of Newark Liberty International Airport. It happened early this morning. CBS Philadelphia investigative reporter Liz Crawford has been looking into...
Wait, there's been another one? This was posted 2 days ago. That'd be on Friday.
FAA issues for months now. Liz, what have you learned?
Well, Siafa, the Federal Aviation Administration says this was a radar and communications outage lasting about 1.5 minutes for controllers based here in Philly who control the airspace for Newark Airport.
That's not comforting.
CBS News Philadelphia obtained audio between controllers and pilots.
Our scopes just went black again. If you care about this, contact your airline and try to get some pressure for them to fix this stuff. We just had another brief radar outage, so just in case that happens again, for your purposes, if you can't reach me, just stay at or above 3,000.
There was a similar outage last week that prompted some air traffic controllers to take a leave of absence to recover from the stress of the incident. It's unclear if controllers involved in this morning's outage will be eligible for what's known as trauma leave and could worsen an already of air traffic controllers. Because of that problem and other issues, there have been numerous delays and cancellations at Newark Airport. This afternoon on X, New Jersey Senator Andy Kim said, "This is absolutely unacceptable. I'm going to Newark Airport and the Regional Air Traffic Control Center tomorrow to get answers and press for real and immediate solutions." Just yesterday, U.S. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy announced a multi-billion-dollar plan to upgrade air traffic control equipment around the country. The project would need approval.
I'm just saying, I ain't flying anywhere.
Now, the outages I mentioned both happen at a facility at PHL where the FAA moved a group of controllers to handle Newark last year despite objections from their union. I made contact with the Air Traffic Controllers Union today. They did not have a comment yet.
Some disturbing developments. Liz, thank you so much for that report.
Last week, we covered the story of Memphis cops who beat the shit out of a man. They just pulled him out of his car. We watched the video of it on stream like 2 or 3 years ago. It was back in January 2023. They pulled him out of a car, beat the shit out of him for like an hour. He ended up dying a few days later. The cops got off last week. Some posters started popping up around town.
On top of that, many in Memphis are continuing to react to the not guilty verdicts in the death of Tyree Nichols. And tonight, the most shocking reaction of all. Wanted posters, disturbing calls for vigilante justice for the 3 former police officers who were acquitted in Tyree's death. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Hurst.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skurlock. The posters are located on...
I neither condemn or condone.
WREG's Raven Copeland has reaction to the verdicts and the message for the city during this time.
We have gotten so much injustice from this city.
Say that.
That is ridiculous.
Say that.
My son was murdered.
That's right.
By 5 Memphis police officers.
That's right. Murder.
He was murdered.
Murdered.
And 3 of them got off.
There are people in the Memphis community who share some of the same emotions that Tyre Nichols' family is carrying. Some are more vocal than others. Wanted posters in Cooper Young say the 3...
I have no idea how this happened. One of the cops pled guilty and testified on behalf of the state. And somehow they got off.
Former officers are wanted dead or unalive for Nichols' deadly police beating.
I don't condone
The jury was from the other side of the state.
Okay, I haven't seen those posters. I don't condone the posting of those posters. What I do understand is a deep hurt and agony and pain for people in this city right now.
Representative Justin Pearson says he encourages the community to express their emotions, but he advises them to do it in a non-violent way. However, he also voiced his disappointment over Wednesday's verdict.
And for someone to see those videos of Tyre Nichols being beaten to death by these officers and to come back with not guilty, like that does something.
The verdict in Nichols' deadly police beating has also resulted in distrust of the Memphis Police Department. However, Memphis Mayor Paul Young and Police Chief C.J. Davis say they're focused on restoring the...
I feel like that was an issue long before this case. Mistrust of the Memphis Police Department.
Police beating has also resulted in distrust of the Memphis Police Department. However, Memphis Mayor Paul Young and Police Chief C.J. Davis say they're focused on restoring the community's perception of the city's law enforcement.
We recognize the pain and grief this incident has caused, and the men and women of the Memphis Police Department remain committed to rebuilding trust and working together toward a stronger, safer Memphis for all.
Reporting from Cooper Young, for your news leader, Raven Copeland, WREG.
Thank you, Raven. Let's go to New York, where one Mr. Sean P. Diddy Combs apparently will not have his jury seated, at least not yet. Jury has not been seated yet in the P. Diddy trial.
We have some breaking news. A jury will not be picked today in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Court started this morning with 45 potential jurors. The lawyers had hoped to cut that down to the final 12 plus 6 alternates, but now that'll have to wait until Monday. Let's bring in investigative reporter Olivia Rubin for more. Olivia, we initially thought a jury would be seated Wednesday, then it was Friday, now it's Monday. What's going on?
Yeah, really, Diane, this seems to stem from the concern that jurors could drop out here. Remember, as you said, they were going in today expecting to whittle down that pool of 45, but when court came to order, the judge revealed that they had already lost 2. One of the jurors, the potential jurors, the judge said, phoned in last night to say that she had concerns about serving. This is a woman who previously worked in the domestic violence unit at the Brooklyn DA's office. She was then struck because of those concerns. And then another juror was struck, Diane, because the judge said that he failed to disclose an ongoing lawsuit he had against the city of New York, something that the judge said showed a lack of honesty on that juror's part. Really, that gave rise to these broader concerns that more jurors could drop out if they seated them today, and then they were...
P. Diddy apparently looking very old. He must have been dyeing his hair. Carla, welcome in.
Given the entire weekend to sort of mull on it before openings on Monday. So really, the judge just did not want to give them that window. So now the jurors will come back, these potential jurors, on Monday. They will strike them down to that group of...
What is that picture of him?
Go right into swearing them in, go right into instructions, and then right into openings where trial will kick off on Monday, Diane.
Definitely not doing him any favors with the trial artist. Kikyo. Like the jury is still being seated in the case. The prosecution apparently pulling a very daring move that may backfire on them, which that's exactly what we want to hear. Oh, something that may get P. Diddy off. Victim 3 never cooperated with the feds and stated that she never wanted to testify. I shouldn't say she. I think they might identify her as a she, or identify them as a she. Yeah, it does identify her as a she. Okay, that's why I said she. Federal prosecutors are taking a big gamble with one of their star witnesses in the Diddy sex trafficking trial, because the woman they call Victim 3 has always made it clear she does not want to testify. During jury selection this week, lead prosecutor Maureen Comey admitted the feds do not know whether the alleged victim, one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends, intends to appear in court to testify against him. Comey said the woman does not live locally. There's an issue getting in touch with her attorney, and she may not even show up to court despite a subpoena. Our sources with direct knowledge say the woman has never cooperated with prosecutors and never given them an indication that she would be willing to take the stand during the trial. It begs the question, why did prosecutors add her to the Diddy indictment? And will they address her absence next week during opening statements? At this point, it's still unclear who prosecutors will call to testify at the beginning of the trial. Prosecutors have some big decisions to make with Victim 3. Namely, will they refer to her in their opening statement? If they do, and then she ghosts them, will the jury wonder what's going on? And that might be a big blow to the prosecution. As we reported, Comey said Monday prosecutors would not be getting into the woman's story until the second part of the trial, and during opening statements, the woman would be described as one of the many women who've allegedly been abused and sexually exploited by Diddy. Let's go to Florida, where a woman was out canoeing and became alligator feed.
Right, Darlene, wildlife officials say they have captured several alligators, and one of them may have been the one that attacked a woman yesterday on Lake Kissimmee, killing her. The victim, Cynthia DeKima, was killed while
alligator just be doing what an alligator be doing. I don't think you should blame the alligators.
Canoeing with their husband when the couple was knocked from their kayak by a large alligator. Channel 9's Nick Pampantonis joins us live now from Lake Kissimmee, where this happened. And Nick, trappers are still out there looking for other gators.
You scared of alligators, Bulletproof?
Getting the right ones. We actually have an alligator friend that we're watching. He's on the move right now.
An alligator friend?
You can see him out there in the middle of Lake Kissimmee here. Looks to be a pretty little guy. The gator described in this attack is 11 feet long, is what wildlife officials are saying. We measured that. That is the distance between this
That's what she said.
Left here and this post to my right.
How safe is the lake out there?
We place public safety at our highest priority. That's why we have officers and trappers still on scene today.
Florida wildlife leaders dealing with the main question on people's minds after a second alligator attack on the same lake in 2 months. But Sky Witness 9 watching trappers out in full force.
They have a taste for blood.
To find and capture the gator behind the latest incident. Wildlife leaders say a husband and wife drifted their canoe over the gator Tuesday, likely startling the animal at the height of mating season when alligators are...
Oh, I see the joke you were making. I got you now.
Thrashed around, knocking the couple into the water, the wife landing on top of the gator. The husband trying to save her, but ultimately unable.
The gator just be doing what the gator be doing.
Cynthia DeKima of Davenport.
I feel for the family. I give my condolences to them.
Signs throughout Lake Kissimmee State Park warn visitors of alligators. There have been a number of attacks throughout Central Florida over the years, mostly from children, swimmers, and boaters coming too close. Given their prevalence in almost every body of water, biologists call attacks extremely rare.
Don't provoke them, don't engage with them, let them be.
And so the question is right now, how will the...
Ironic over here probably wanting to pet him.
Correct gator, and officials say it's not extremely scientific.
Iron's like, oh, I want to cuddle with it.
Of each gator's stomach, and that should help them determine which one is the correct one, and if they got it.
No!
Papantonis, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Why? Why? We don't even know which one it was. We're just going to cut open a bunch of gators' stomachs to see which one actually ate her. Probably multiple. One had an arm, one had a leg. Is that horrible of me? I don't think you should hold animals responsible for what, like that's just what a gator be doing. There is no reason to hold it responsible. The person should not have been in the gator habitat to where they are available to be gator food. Is that a hot take? Is that wrong of me? I don't think they should euthanize the gators either. I think that's punishing an animal for being what it is, is upsetting to me. Anyway, this police chase, I don't know if there's a full video of it, but it apparently ended with 6 people very injured.
News in San Pedro, a police chase lasting only seconds. Injuries to 6 people.
Lasted seconds.
And it all started when police tried to pull someone over for a felony warrant.
Now we're hearing from some of the innocent people who were hit. Eyewitness News reporter David Gonzalez is live.
Lasted seconds.
Street and Pacific Avenue, where that pursuit came to a violent end.
Giovanna, this shows just how fast things could change, especially when dealing with something as a high-speed chase. Officials telling us this pursuit lasted only about a minute, and it all ended at this intersection behind me.
How high speed could it have been?
That suspect was driving. It was just removed from on top of that car that you see next to it. A lot of people that were injured in today's crash luckily are okay, but they say it's a rough start to Mother's Day weekend.
He barreled through this intersection right into us. Put us in a tailspin, we hit a tree.
Cell phone video shows the moments after a police chase ended on the corner of Pacific Avenue and 19th Street in San Pedro.
I haven't even had time to process this. It was so fast, sir, that we didn't have time to react.
Tommy and Deanna didn't want to go on camera. The couple was traveling in this Infiniti, getting ready to celebrate Mother's Day weekend when they were hit.
We were sitting at this red light. We saw
What do they mean by celebrate Mother's Day weekend?
down there, and then all of a sudden we saw a vehicle right in front of the cop cars pull out, and I thought, uh-oh, it's a high-speed pursuit now.
We saw the officers come, block the car in, and their guns. I said to my wife, uh-oh, there's something going on.
And we're
then
right here.
Before we could even blink, the car came barreling like 0 to 60 at us, and there's nowhere to go.
The pursuit lasted only about a minute. LAPD says the suspect was wanted for a felony warrant. Pictures and videos taken by witnesses show him handcuffed and being treated at the scene.
Officer Booty over here. Look at that.
In all, 4 cars were involved in the crash. 2 people were transported.
ACAB means her too.
Their condition is reported as serious. Deanna, Tommy, and 2 others were assessed at the scene and luckily suffered no major injuries.
It was crazy. It was just in the blink of an eye, it changes your life.
It does.
And
Best booty on duty. Oh my God.
So fast. While we were doing the story, as you can see, traffic is now flowing on Pacific Avenue as they try to remove the last 2 remaining cars in this accident and crash. But I will tell you, talking to Deanna and Tommy off camera, Tommy's face was battered. He was bleeding. He says he's very, very lucky to be alive, but he's also very happy he gets to celebrate Mother's Day with his wife and also his mom. Reporting live in San
fuck his mom. Man, that was mean. Cancel Justin. That was mean of me. This driver has apparently been caught on camera road raging on people multiple times. He has been caught again. Apparently arrested in Hawaii. Caught on camera several times in California.
We have more breaking news to tell you about. Remember this guy driving a Tesla, terrorizing other drivers in a number of Southern California road rage incidents a few years ago? Well, his name
not our machete queen. She was awesome. I should have saved her picture. I sent the headline to Sparkles. I was like, "This you?"
We have more breaking news to tell you about. Remember Remember this guy driving a Tesla, terrorizing other drivers in a number of Southern California road rage incidents a few years ago? Well, his name is Nathaniel Rademacher. He's been arrested again, this time in Hawaii. Rademacher was charged with multiple counts of assault in LA County in January of 2023. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but he didn't serve that 5 years. He was paroled in August of last year against the wishes of a number of his local victims. In the Hawaii case, he's accused of assaulting an 18-year-old female driver and her mother, who was a
wow,
after a traffic incident yesterday in Honolulu. And again, he was behind the wheel of a Tesla. Police arresting Rademacher today.
Of course it was a Tesla.
Speaking to us tonight from Hawaii.
I would hope that, HPD does prosecute him and do a better job than California.
A Teslarist?
Of keeping him behind bars so that hopefully he can at least learn a lesson, maybe get some sort of help. It seems he has anger issues. He's lashing out, and who knows what he might be capable of next.
He seems perfectly calm and reasonable to me.
Also an infant in the victim's car as well. Again, Nathaniel Rademacher is in jail in Honolulu tonight.
Rademacher.
Judge soon to learn the official charges he will face there.
Flash, you got your calibers? I feel like you might have some phrenology to be doing over here. Look at that head. You got your calipers. What are the kids doing on TikTok now, god damn it? TikTok is apparently telling them to set their laptops on fire or some shit.
It's the disturbing TikTok trend putting kids in danger in classrooms across multiple states. A growing number of videos posted to TikTok and other platforms in recent days, appearing to show kids sticking school supplies like pencils and paper clips in their Chromebooks, sparking electrical fires and releasing toxic smoke. One incident at Connecticut's Newington High School forcing an evacuation.
It became clear that the damage was done intentionally, that it wasn't a malfunctioning Chromebook, but rather a student had intentionally done things to it.
Why?
Caused it to smoke and eventually melt.
Thankfully, no one at the school was injured. But the town's fire marshal, DJ Zordan, telling us
you setting your own laptops on fire
poses a threat. What is the potential danger these students might be putting themselves?
Clinically, you set a laptop on fire.
Electrocution, depending on what you're inserting into these laptops. If there's a fire, it's producing toxic smoke. We don't want people breathing.
Probably.
The lithium batteries are volatile. So if it does explode, there's a potential that you're going to injure.
Clinically, like I've set lots of shit on fire.
At least 2 other schools in the state also reporting Chromebook fires.
Flash has shot one. Of course, Flash has shot one.
Ended up finding a laptop in a classroom that was pretty much out but on fire at one point.
Ready? Yeah.
The trend popping up in classrooms from coast to coast. Last October, a school district in
why is this a trend?
Saying a student started a Chromebook fire with a pen. There's no one clear reason why students are doing this. One of the videos simply reading, quote, anything but work. Zordan says parents have to educate their children on the dangers involved.
Talk about this.
Damn parents.
Explain the hazards. So that way we can try to prevent this from happening.
Yeah, can you get high off of it?
Person for TikTok telling NBC News these videos are not exclusive to their platform and saying search terms like Chromebook challenge have been blocked. Google, which makes the operating systems for Chromebooks, did not respond to our request for comment, as school administrators now promise to crack down on the students responsible.
For a student who would do that deliberate destruction of school property, they will have a very serious consequence.
And Rahima Ellis joins us now on set. So Rahima, let's pick up where your piece left off. An investigation is ongoing. ultimately, what sort of consequences could these students be facing?
Interesting you asked that question, because the Newington Public Schools sent out this message to students and parents all across their district, letting them know this is extremely serious and that there could be very dire consequences for these kids who are engaged in this, but not just the students, but their parents. These Chromebooks cost about $400, and they're saying that the students
That's all?
would be held responsible if they can see
those are cheap-ass Chromebooks.
with this. In addition, the fire marshal who you saw in our piece has determined that this was intentional. As a consequence, they have a responsibility to report it to the police. They are investigating and say, if needed, there will be criminal charges filed.
NBC's Rahima Ellis, thank you.
Shut up, Lester. Oh.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, shut up, Lester.
Breaking news and top stories.
They hit me with a fake out there. I had timed it almost perfectly. DM, good evening. Make all students use horn books. What are horn books? Is this some off-brand I've never heard of before? This is probably something I shouldn't be Googling, isn't it, DM? Good evening, my friend. Oh! Ha ha! Ha ha! Funny. No, a hornbook is a single-sided alphabet tablet which served from medieval times as a primer for study and sometimes included vowel combinations, numerals, or short verses. Listen to DM over here. Want to take us back to the olden times. I love it. Pornbook. Those damn Luddites. Last week we did a story about a Barstool Sports employee that held up a sign that said, "Fuck the Jews." I probably should stop saying that. I said it several times the other night. I'm just quoting the actual story. Suspended Temple U student, the center of the Barstool controversy, just made things worse. The dude uploads an anti-Semitic video to his own Instagram like a brain-dead moron, is now playing victim. This is according to Dave Portnoy. We're reading from the Daily Wire. Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy posted an update on Tuesday sharing what he said would be his final comments on the saga that unfolded after patrons at his bar in Center City, Philadelphia, ordered bottle service and paid for a sign that said, "Fuck the Jews." Following the incident, Portnoy said that he spoke to the student who had uploaded the video of the sign to Instagram, Mohammed Adnan Khan, and initially he'd been apologetic and tearful. Rather than ruin a college student's life, Portnoy offered to send him to Auschwitz in the hopes of turning a hateful incident into a learning experience. Over the next couple of days, the Barstool founder shared several updates and ultimately revealed that he'd revoked his offer after Khan backtracked and claimed he had no connection to the anti-Semitic sign. By Tuesday, Khan had gone a step further. Portnoy began his update with a post on Twitter advertising a crowdfunding page that he said was more fitting for a satire site like The Onion or the Babylon Bee, in which an apparent friend of Khan requested people send money to help him stand against trial by public opinion and support his fight for due process and redemption. So I have the video. Let's hear Khan's side of the story.
Over this past weekend, I was at an establishment in Philadelphia where an incident occurred, and Dave Portnoy sensationalized it to his 9.2 million followers on Instagram and X, essentially turning it into a global news story. Although I had nothing to do with the sign coming out, nor do I know who did it, I know that the sign was provocative because it reminded people a lot of the unjust things that Israel is doing around the world, thus leading me to report on it. Dave Portnoy and his friends can choose to be triggered over the sentiments of that sign and even kick me out of the establishment forever. However, they have no right to destroy my life over free speech and ultimately something that was an edgy joke. Frankly, they're more worried about destroying and uprooting me than the thousands of people getting destroyed and uprooted in genocide. That sign had no effects in terms of killing any Jews. However, Israel kills thousands of people on a daily basis. Dave Portnoy and the greater Jewish community are acting as if they are the victims when this whole time I am the victim. While Dave lies about me on the internet and viciously attacks me, tries to take me to take a trip as a result.
Was he or was he not involved with the sign? The sign is kind of disgusting. You can be against Israel and please don't venture over into anti-Semitism. I'm kind of confused here.
Me out of the establishment forever. However, they have no right to destroy my life over free speech and ultimately something that was an edgy joke. Frankly, they're more worried about destroying and uprooting me than the thousands of people getting destroyed and uprooted in genocide. That sign...
It is his free speech to say it, though.
...effects in terms of killing any Jews. However, Israel kills thousands of people on a daily basis. Dave Portnoy and the greater Jewish community are acting as if they are the victims when this whole...
No. You can totally say fuck Israel. You can say fuck Israel all day long. Saying fuck the Jews is kind of a lot different. That is a completely different story. That's anti-Semitism, but it's still covered by free speech.
Time, I am the victim. While Dave lies about me on the internet and viciously attacks me, tries to take me to take a trip as a result of not destroying me and my family, here's ways that I've actually been affected and not just my feelings. I've gotten suspended from my university with threats of being expelled. I've lost a prestigious internship that I worked really hard to get. I've been doxxed. I've been receiving death threats.
Yeah, all that is probably not a violation of his free speech. The university has a right to revoke a scholarship. I'd rather them not do that. But that is within their rights. Dave Portnoy has a right to fire him or ban him from the establishment.
Destroying me and my family. Here's ways that I've actually been affected and not just my feelings. I've gotten suspended from my university with threats of being expelled. I've lost a prestigious internship that I worked really hard to get. I've been doxxed. I've been receiving death threats via social media, phone calls, even text messages of random kids dying, being left to die. My roommates had to evacuate our house. They weren't even involved, and they had to evacuate our premises due to someone leaking our address on the internet. Everyone has to remember, I'm just a 21-year-old college student. I'm not a public figure. Dave is twice my age,
So he is probably really anti-Semitic if he went on Stu Peters.
Very elite. This asymmetric power dynamic is the exact reason I made statements to Dave earlier that night and before that don't accurately reflect the responsibility that I bear. I made those statements under duress. One of the things I said was literally 2 minutes after I received calls for a death threat. I love my parents. They worked really hard to gain the American citizenship the correct way and so that they could provide it to me. I love America. I love free speech. And I love Americans that want to protect their constitutional rights and safeguard all the rights that they should be assured to living in this beautiful country. Dave has built a reputation
fuck this dude.
And a business solely focused on the anti-cancel culture. Here, he's hypocritically lynching me, absolutely canceling me in any way possible and ruining my life.
But yeah, Portnoy is also a bitch, and I made a video about that.
Apology for everything that he has done and caused
Jinx clinically.
Few days. In an attempt to expose me,
I'm not high enough for this bullshit.
As almost a total fraud, going back on anything he stands for. Please, I'm imploring you. I'm asking you for help to pay for these attacks, to pay for any possible legal restitution, any relocation expenses, any educational expenses, and show the founders of cancel culture that their reign of tyranny is over.
Yeah, I definitely don't like that dude. Suspended Temple University student allegedly involved in displaying an anti-Semitic sign has denied responsibility, but I can't decipher whether he denied responsibility or not. Khan claimed he was at the bar with friends and made a video of the customized sign, a perk of ordering bottle service, to report on it on social media. That doesn't add up. On Sunday, Temple President John Fry called the anti-Semitic message abhorrent and said any other student found to be involved would face disciplinary action. Philadelphia police also said they are investigating the incident. Portnoy posted a pair of videos on Sunday condemning the sign.
He condemned.
Vowing to thoroughly investigate what happened, he said 2 employees at the bar were fired for their roles in allowing the sign to be displayed. And he said Khan and another person had taken responsibility for the sign during phone calls with him over the weekend. Yes, you can be anti-Semitic against Palestinians as well. Matt Walsh once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
So he can't be all bad, right? He wouldn't go on his show and defend the woman that called the autistic 5-year-old boy the N-word, would he?
I understand that some people on my side feel, to put it scientifically, icky about this whole thing.
Scientifically.
I understand why they feel icky. I understand why they don't want to condone saying racial slurs to children. I don't want to condone it either, and I don't. And nobody really does. But I think they're missing the point. You know, I don't think they understand what's actually happening here or why. It is, in the end, a net positive that this woman has raised $500,000. I'm glad she has. I hope she raises $1 million. I will not be joining with some of my conservative friends in wagging my finger at her donors, and I'll explain why. First of all, she does have a legitimate need for the money. The mob is truly trying to get her killed. Now, I don't believe that a woman should have her life threatened for saying a word, even a bad one. Now, you could say freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences for your speech, all you want. But if losing your livelihood and having your house burned down is a consequence of your speech, then you do not have free speech. Supporting free speech means supporting someone's ability to speak without having their family murdered for it. Okay? I mean, that should be pretty obvious.
Or supporting somebody's right to speak without having their visa revoked, right, Matt? I'm sure he's not on board with that one.
Second,
free speech is the right to say the N-word and raise $1 million.
Importantly. And, you know, this is the part that I really need everyone to stop and think about.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
The most devastating attack on cancel culture that we have seen, possibly ever. Shiloh Hendricks has, without really trying, effectively ended cancel culture. As Mark Dice said in his video about the incident, Shiloh is the final boss of cancel culture, or maybe rather the final boss that cancel culture has to fight. And I think that's right. And this is the part that many conservatives seem to be missing. All they see is that this woman said something bad and is now getting rewarded for it. The whole thing is so unsavory that they can't help but recoil. And yeah, it is unsavory. You wish that Shiloh had said or done something that we could affirmatively defend. That would be much easier. Nobody wants to affirmatively defend cussing out a 5-year-old, even though I don't think the kid's actually 5. But none of that is the point. The point is that the only way to put an end to this routine, where the outrage mob mobilizes and assembles to destroy somebody's life, is to disincentivize the routine. And the only way to disincentivize that behavior is to reward the person who's being targeted. Now, we can complain all we want about the mob tactics and how they silence and punish people and exact vengeance in wildly disproportionate ways. We can condemn it. We could write think pieces about it. We can deliver.
That's him defending it, right?
None
like
of that matters. None of
justifying her behavior.
The only thing that can stop them, the only thing that will make them think twice about doing this
who is them?
Is if they know that instead of getting their target canceled, they might accidentally make them rich. And more important even than the money, they must know that their attempt to isolate and ostracize somebody will fail. That for every person condemning the targeted person, 2 more will rally to their defense. You know, the motto of the cancel
He's basically egging on people to go and say the N-word a lot.
Mob for a long time has always been, make this person famous. And a lot of them were saying that about Shiloh. Let's make her famous. Now, the assumption is that the fame will have an exclusively negative effect on the person's life. Making them famous means making them unsafe, making them bankrupt, making them persona non grata. With this case, that assumption has been flipped on its head. Because now the mob knows that making them famous might help them more than hurt them. Rather than the fame being punished, it's rewarded. That's the only way to stop this. The making them famous tactic now has a powerful disincentive attached. Think of it this way. Justine Sacco is widely considered the patient zero of cancel culture. Back in 2013, she was on a flight to Africa.
Wait, I thought he was going to say Sacco and Vanzetti. I was like, Justine Sacco? Was that their name? They were tried by the government and put to death in like the 30s, Matt. That's cancel culture.
When she tweeted jokingly that she hopes she doesn't get AIDS when she gets to Africa. And when she landed hours later, you're probably familiar with the story, she discovered
that woman
had gone viral across the country. The mob had made her famous, and she lost her job. She was cast out of polite society.
Pretty disgusting.
It was over. And our culture, as we knew it, had also been changed irrevocably. Now, I wish that somebody had started a crowdfunding campaign for her all the way back in 2013. I wish that while half the internet was trying to wreck her life over a dumb joke, the other half had made her rich.
Wow.
People had donated $500,000 to her. I wish they donated $1 million. I wish they donated $50 million. And that's not because I think an AIDS joke is worth $50 million. It wasn't that good of a joke. It's not because I think that
it was not a good joke at all.
It's because that would have destroyed cancel culture in its infancy. The entire incentive structure around this online left-wing version of mob justice would have been broken right at the start. If they made her famous and she profited from the fame rather than being ruined by it, then the make her famous tactic would have died right there, and that would have been the end of it. But it didn't die there. Instead, the mob was emboldened. Mob justice worked out really well for the mob nearly every time for the next decade and a half. Now that's finally changed.
Wow. Wow. This is video of Matt Walsh. This is exclusive video of Matt Walsh I've obtained.
I'm gonna say the N-word. I'm gonna say the N-word. I'm gonna say the N-word. I'm gonna say the N-word.
One of the Fox News commentators, like a blonde woman, I think. Oh yeah, totally a blonde woman. Never seen her before in my life, and we watch a lot of Fox News clips. I don't remember her being on the orgy couch at any time. She was apparently live on air and fainted.
Take a look at this. It is a very scary moment on live television as a guest faints right in the middle of her sentence. Here's what happened.
This guest on the Fox News channel.
Oh, she was a guest.
Air, but she's not feeling.
That's why I've never seen her before. She was just a guest. She wasn't a host.
Television as a guest faints right in the middle of her sentence. Here's what
that can happen.
This guest on the Fox News channel is live on air, but she's not feeling quite right. Political commentator Cameron Kinsey struggles to find the words.
Ideology, or it's not
woke ideology.
Then this happens.
Oh my goodness.
Kinsey just fainted on air, and the host, Jonathan Hunt, is flummoxed.
Let me come back to Lydia while we get some help for Cameron here. Lydia, the President, we're gonna go to a break right here. We'll be right back.
That was scary.
Oh my goodness. We got.
Ow!
Gonna get some help here.
A Fox spokesman says she's now feeling much better and wish her a speedy recovery.
Oh my goodness.
We wish her a speedy recovery.
You hear her hit the floor.
Is live on air, but she's not feeling quite right. Political commentator Cameron Kinsey struggles to find the words.
Ideology, or it's not about.
Then this happens.
Oh my goodness.
Kinsey just fainted on air,
Ouch.
and the host, Jonathan Hunt, is flummoxed.
Let me come back to Lydia while we get some help for Cameron here. Lydia,
They tossed a break.
President, we're gonna go to a break right here. We'll be right back.
Yes, toss a break. That's what you're supposed to do.
We're just gonna get some help here.
A Fox spokesman says she's now feeling much better and wish her a speedy recovery.
Oh my goodness.
We wish her a speedy recovery too. Glad to know she's feeling better.
Thump. Bill Belichick. We covered this weird interview that he did with 60 Minutes last week. He's got a really young girlfriend. He's almost 80 and she's 22. We don't know how they met. We think it was a sugar daddy kind of situation. Bill Belichick supports Jordan Hudson at the Miss Maine amid an apparent ban from the UNC facility. So 24, I'm sorry, Michael. 24, not 22. So they've banned her from the UNC, the University of North Carolina, where Bill Belichick is a coach. Jordan Hudson spotted. Jason Society, welcome in. Oh, shit. Good evening, friends. Let's get our marijuana accoutrements ready. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We got to smoke if Jason's coming in. Welcome in, Raiders. If you don't know who I am, I'm JustinFREAKIN. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to JustinFREAKIN.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana. Colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's JustinFREAKIN.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the call.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quit panic, attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey, Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be a man?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Right-wingers are morons.
Light one it and tip one back. One more more click before we hit the set. Set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but it takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Not high enough for this shit.
Linda from Jersey, thank you for being a freaking follower. We did multiple Jersey stories tonight. A house exploded. We had the audio from the shutdown of the Newark air traffic control from Jers. Samson, welcome in. MILF, good to see you. I don't know if I missed anybody. I'm sorry if I did. Anti-corporatist, welcome in, my friend. Glad to have you. Textilian Overlord. Dead Inby. Welcome. Your fucking JD Vance avatar scares me. Goat Cannon. Maddie B, welcome in. Welcome, friends. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We found out what that news be doing. You missed the hard news. We're in what I call the bullshit section of the show. Oh, since it's a raid from Jason Society, we got to light one up, tip one back. You heard the lady in the song. Who was here earlier? Media Winch, you still here? Shout out to Media Winch from Echoplex Media for the amazing songs she did for me. All right, we were recovering Bill Belichick. We watched his interview last weekend with his 24-year-old girlfriend. He is almost 80. She has apparently been banned from the University of North Carolina athletic facilities because she is causing a ruckus. Bill Belichick is 73. Jordan Hudson, his girlfriend, 24. We believe that they probably met on some sort of sugar daddy site. Belichick supports Jordan Hudson at the Miss Maine amid Ewan's. I'm sorry, I've got a cat over here. You guys want to see the cat, I'm sure. He's been so needy today. He's been up my ass all day. Love you, buddy. You're so sweet. Kind of like Jordan Hudson has been up Bill Belichick's ass. So much so they had to ban her from the University of North Carolina facilities. However, Belichick was with her when she was competing at the Miss Maine pageant. We had to slow-mo it and everything. Any more video? No, it's just that one video over and over again. Belichick was on the sideline supporting his girlfriend as she competed in the Miss Maine pageant, where she shocked contestants by showing up all smiles. and toting what appeared to be a $3,500 Dior bag. We're reading from the New York Post, clearly. It's the bullshit part of the show. Coach is here, a source close to the 73-year-old Belichick confirmed. He arrived at the Holiday Inn by the Bay in Portland Saturday afternoon, just a day after his gal pal was reportedly banned from appearing at his new gig at the University of North Carolina. Belichick was spotted in the front row with Hudson's security guard as the competition got underway. Hudson was introduced after Isabel St. Crier of Monson, the first transgender woman to compete in the Miss Maine pageant. Woohoo! Go, girl. She strutted her stuff in a metallic green bandeau bikini to Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club, with St. Cyr following in a baby blue two-piece. I'm not used to reading any of these words. Hudson then donned a shimmery gold dress and matching heels for the evening gown portion. Sauntering to Don't Leave by Cheat Codes, she winked directly at Belichick at the end of the segment. When all the contestants back out on the stage as the night's festivities came to an end, Hudson blew kisses to the crowd, started clapping and dancing. Belichick left as the pageant host announced that the beauty queens would sequester and have a pizza and pajama party. That kind of sounds hot.
You live in sexual anarchy?
I'd have a pizza and pajama party with the contestants for Miss Maine. Chainsaw, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. Earlier in the day, the former Bridgewater State University cheerleader appeared in a UNC baby blue off-the-shoulder cocktail dress stilettos and a sash bearing the name of her Hancock hometown, punctuated with her pearly whites. Hudson smiled and waved to onlookers as she exited the interview portion of the competition, a day after a sports podcaster, Pablo Torre, revealed that Hudson is no longer allowed on the North Carolina football field or inside its football facilities. However, the Tar Heels tackled Torre's claim. While Jordan Hudson is not an employee at the University or Carolina Athletics, she is welcome to the Carolina football facilities. Jordan will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside of his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university. The drama comes as the pageant queen has been criticized for ruining Belichick's longtime winning reputation. She's very headstrong. She's a tough cookie, but a lot of people are angry because of the whole Bill situation. Nobody has spoken with her until today. She probably was told to lay low and not say anything. I feel bad for her, a source close to the pageant said. Hancock!
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
My neighbor is like, why is he yelling about cock? Speaking of dicks, Elon Musk, he's got a daughter that he's disowned because he's a piece of shit. But apparently, like, she's becoming kind of popular in the socialite circles. She was rocking it at a drag show over the weekend. They would probably call in a wellness check if I ever stopped yelling about cock. I hope this video makes Elon seethe. War Machine, welcome in. She's adorable. Yelling about cock, I see. Ha ha. I do often, apparently. Any Metallica fans in the audience? We're coming to the end of the news, but since everybody rated in, we're gonna do a police chase. I've become quite famous for police chases here lately. Any Metallica fans? Metallica apparently causing an earthquake in Virginia.
Could actually see that on the seismograph that's at Virginia Tech. And we posted this last night. It got reposted by Metallica, which was really cool. So I want to show you some perspective on that. We'll zoom you into Blacksburg and show you Lane Stadium. So there's the stadium right there. The seismograph is not that far away. It's about a half a mile just to the south. Honestly, it's near the runway, near the end of the runway at the Virginia Tech Airport. So it's pretty close by. I want to show you what it looked like on the seismograph and why it kind of tricked us a little bit. So last night when I was watching it, I was like, there's Enter Sandman. And certainly there's no way they're going to play the whole thing at the beginning of the show. It was a little clip of Enter Sandman at the very beginning, so a very short clip. Well, at the very end, there is Enter Sandman, and you can almost see the different verses of it and the choruses when the jumping continued. So very, very cool to see that. Now, I talked with the folks at Virginia Tech at the seismology office. Here's what they said. It was less than a magnitude 1 earthquake, and then also it was about 3 to 4 times the shaking of a typical football game. So this was a pretty big one. He said this is the biggest that he has seen so far. Give you a little perspective on that. Remember the earthquake, the real earthquake that we had earlier in the week?
Yeah.
The seismograph recorded about the same as it.
The real earthquake that we had earlier in the week. The seismograph recorded about the same as Enter Sandman playing at Lane Stadium, where Virginia Tech plays in Blacksburg, Virginia.
The real earthquake that we had earlier in the week.
Yeah.
The seismograph recorded about the same as it did when we had that earthquake. So again, it wasn't a 3 there, but the same amount as it recorded in Blacksburg during the early week earthquake. So pretty big, 3 to 4 times a normal game.
Yeah, I'm shocked that the
Shocked, I tell you.
the stands can withstand it. I'm shocked.
I know.
What are those things built of over there, Brent?
Seriously, I mean, I know they're going to have to do some checking on that after all those people. But I think, just talking around town, I think this is the biggest concert this area has ever
I'm sure.
seen.
Yeah, I think so too. There was that
Yeah.
Dave Matthews one,
Correct.
2007. But
The Twitch people, stick around. We'll watch
That's pretty big.
We'll watch Enter Sandman from.
got the seismograph going.
Boom, boom. All right.
I think it was Thursday night, Friday night. We're gonna watch a police chase and listen to music. Everyone watching on YouTube, on Kick, the podcast. We're going to say goodbye to you guys. Here's a deer licking a cat. Because it's adorable. So if you're watching on Kick, D-Live, Facebook, the podcast, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol, live. Twitch people, stick with us. We're going to watch a police chase. Don't go anywhere, Tones. We ain't leaving. We're just switching gears. Let's do the Metallica from Lane Stadium because it was really cool. The one that was caused the earthquake. Measured like an earthquake. Because I'm into shit like this. Oh, no, this isn't there's like a professionally shot version. Let me find that. Oh, just somebody's fucking... Yeah, here we go. This is the professionally shot version. Ah, fuck. We'll totally smoke here in a second.
Let's go! Let's go!
Oh, that's all we get of it. That's all we get of it. All right. We're going to do police chase. I'm going to put some music on because it's all fun. This is apparently a box truck. We got a box truck.
Car chases.
We got a box truck in this one.
They may go back into tracking mode. You can see how far back they are, about a quarter of a mile back. It's difficult to tell if they have their lights and sirens on, but there is definitely an LAPD airship overhead that is got an air commander in it that is following this pursuit as it
looks like a Lowe's box truck.
Keep watching this pursuit. I can tell you that so far there is no evidence
Is that what I'm seeing?
Or has anything dangerous weapons in the car, but they are continuing here on the northbound PCH, now heading basically into the Malibu area. And here you can see we're crossing Sunset right through this intersection here, really without any regard to the traffic that's around them. Now, LAPD...
They call the fucking helicopter an airship.
Here, but the air unit is overhead along with several media airships, so it's very clear that this driver knows that they are being followed. They certainly must have seen the LAPD patrol units behind.
You think it's an Aaron's truck? Isn't that a Lowe's symbol, though?
Very reckless driving here.
That outline?
Onto the side here into the mud on PCH as they head north. So
I still use my lighter at concerts, Julie.
Tracked or chased by units behind them, and
I think it's Lowe's.
And this is a very, very.
Oh yeah, it says Lowe's back there.
Obviously, it's a moving van, delivery van.
Didn't mean to shoot you down, War Machine.
How much cargo is in the back, which could certainly affect the center of mass and the weight of this truck, making it more or less.
Lowe's didn't want to accept their U-Bond.
This truck is a safe bet for anyone driving it at high speeds. It's not designed for that kind of a thing, and as you can see here going.
All right, I'm gonna smoke. I'm gonna put some music on here.
We don't see any patrol units behind.